to shape our future.
Good morning. Good morning, PK. Good morning, Bobby. Good morning, Siraj. Good morning, John. Good morning, Marc. Good morning, Raghav. Good morning, Roman. It is a beautiful day to podcast. You're watching TBPN.
Today is Friday, October 31st, 2025. It's Halloween. We are live from the TBPN Ultradome,
the Temple of Technology, the Fortress of Finance, the capital of capital.
We have a fantastic show for you today, folks. We're going to be talking about Mag 7 earnings, recapping what's happening in the public markets, the trillion-dollar tech companies that have been powering and holding up the entire global economy. Will they continue to hold up the global economy? So far, the answer is yes. I'm glad the chat is enjoying the costumes. Jordy, who are you today?
You got to be living under a data center to not know who I'm dressed up as today. None other than Marc Andreessen.
Spitting image.
Spitting image. How am I doing?
I think you look great. I think I think you nailed it. I saw some other folks. They of course, I am Ilya Sutskever. There are a lot of people that boil down the Marc Andreessen costume to just being bald. And that's, of course, not it. You need the shirt, you need the watch, you need the beard. These are all
the only thing I'm not going to be able to do very well is talk quite as quickly as
yeah, it feels like the mustache and the outfit might be actually slowing you down a little bit. But I'm not trying to channel Ilya. We were watching the Guardian video on Ilya, his interview, which is beautifully edited. And one of the most interesting, I don't even know, it's like an interview, it's almost a podcast, but it's this like documentary. It's a 12-minute video by The Guardian.
They cooked.
And Ilya is the only one who says anything the entire time.
Yeah.
There's no guest or there's no interviewer. There's no host. And it's just him talking about AGI will be able to do anything. We'll make, it could be good, could be bad. And he just has these crazy long, these ways of answering these questions that are really interesting. And it fits with that medium. I don't know how much editing they did to get his answers to a place where it had that kind of flow, but it's fantastic.
Ilya's words hold so much weight.
Yeah, I think that's
so
a big part of it.
That format just worked incredibly well.
Yeah.
But anyways, if you are watching the recording of this at some point in the future, I recommend whenever I'm talking, put it on 3x speed to get the full Marc experience. And we should talk about the Gen AI company that we work with to make this possible, of course. I think people are going to be wildly impressed at how little latency there is.
Yes.
The kind of character consistency.
We are partnered with Fall, the generative media platform for developers. The world's best generative image, video, and audio models all in one place. Develop and fine-tune models with serverless GPUs and on-demand clusters.
But, of course, we did this the old-fashioned way, the Hollywood way.
The Hollywood way.
We were at the office at 6:30 this morning. It took hours to get to this point.
Yeah.
And shout out to the whole team that made it possible.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's not a mask; it is makeup. It's a series of prosthetics that go on layered up with a wig for me and a beard for Jordy. They kind of take you through the process of becoming fully bald and then add back whatever they need to, including the eyebrows. And the eyebrows do a lot of the work.
They do a lot of the
They
work.
do a lot of the work. But if you're not taking Halloween this seriously, what's going on? You got to be taking it seriously. Tyler, are you taking Halloween seriously? What did you do?
I'm taking Halloween extremely seriously.
Well, who are you?
Sam Altman at 2008 WWDC.
Okay.
Pitching looped.
It's the, you're the spitting image. Were those the colors of the polos he was wearing?
Yeah, I think the camera temperature is
you think that's what it is?
In real life, if the viewers could see, they would be.
And the hair is a perfect match. And you also had to do 3 hours of prosthetic makeup?
Yeah, I was actually here a little earlier than you guys.
Yeah, sure.
Back,
it is so strange looking across.
It's very
and
weird.
Seeing the spitting image of Ilya himself. Anyways.
Ramp, time is money, say both. Easy to use corporate card, bill pay, accounting, a whole lot more, all in one place.
When we partnered with Ramp, they never expected to see Ilya.
Pitching Ramp.
This
is why you advertise on TBPN. You get ad reads from Marc Andreessen
from the goats themselves. We have a super fun show today. We have Lulu, Meservey, and Gaby Goldberg coming on. Yeah. Later, we have Dean Ball joining. Who else do we have? We have
Tyler. Do you know Ball?
You're just
Every
trying to
single time we mention his name, do you know Ball? Well,
after today, everyone will know Ball because Dean Ball is coming on TBPN. We're very excited for that. So let's take a second to tell you about Restream. One live stream, 30 plus destinations. Of course, we are restreaming today. Multi-stream, reach your audience wherever they are. But I think it'd be good to just kind of go through some of the headlines. Trump cut China tariffs after he met up with Xi Jinping. In South Korea, President Trump and Chinese leader Xi Jinping emerged from their first face-to-face meeting in 6 years with a temporary detente in the bruising trade fight between the two superpowers. The U.S. agreed to lower a fentanyl-related tariff on Chinese goods to 10% from 20% after China promised to crack down on chemicals used to make the often deadly
precursors.
That would bring the average tariff rate on many Chinese goods to around 47% from 57%. So America's backing off a little bit. Beijing also promised to ease some of the controls it imposed on exports of processed rare earth minerals for 1 year. China dominates the production of the minerals, which are needed to make everything from smartphones to submarines. Wow. That's a world tour of everything in the trade deal. So we're slowly ratcheting things up, ratcheting things down. We had a good conversation yesterday about this with Chris McGuire. You're welcome to go check that out. He gave us more details on the history of the China trade war with the U.S. But the bigger news in tech world, of course, is earnings. Amazon posted a big jump in profit and revenue. Amazon.com reported net profits surged 39% and revenue rose for the third quarter, propelled by strong retail sales as well as continued growth in its cloud computing and artificial intelligence business. The e-commerce giant said Thursday that sales rose for the period. They rose 13% to $180 billion, and net profit rose to $21.2 billion in that quarter. And so you had a little bit of a take on what was going on in Amazon world. They've been sort of, at the last earnings, they were sort of left out of the AI narrative. All the other hyperscalers in their cloud businesses were, telling great stories about acceleration and growth, and Andy Jassy was a little bit on the defensive. Well, now he's back on the offensive, and the results were much stronger. So they beat on the top line. They beat on the bottom line. They also beat on AWS revenue, which is great. The Trainium
across the board
2 chip business grew 150% quarter on quarter, and there's still some debate over how Trainium will scale relative to TPU, whether Anthropic is going to buy a bunch of TPUs. Maybe they're going to pull back on Trainium, but it seems like even if the top end is diversifying, and you have OpenAI saying we want to be on every cloud, or that's not necessarily a bull case because there's so many more buyers coming from behind, adding to it. So my take was a lot of FUD around Trainium underperformance relative to TPU, but they both seem to be catching up finally. I think it'll be interesting to see TPU on Inference Max, semi-analysis's benchmark.
Are they opting in?
Well, so TPU and Trainium, the way Dylan Patel framed it to me, at least, was they haven't said that they're out. In fact, in fact, they said that they are in, but it's going to take them time to actually provision everything because it is a significant cost and it's something that requires a decent amount of resources. And there's, a whole bunch of, it's a big company.
And it will determine the fate of their product line forever.
potentially. And so,
people are going to be paying a lot of attention.
It's possible that they want to get their ducks in a row, so they don't just get clobbered in this race. But interestingly, AMD and Nvidia were both pretty happy with the results. There was tons of positivity about AMD in certain use cases, and Jensen on stage at GTC was spending minutes just on Inference Max slides and data. So
my take from the newsletter on Amazon, I said Jassy needed this after the timeline had turned against him pretty horribly. In the last few months, people even saw the headcount reduction from Monday as bearish. I think that just shows how far ahead Satya was. He did multiple rounds of layoffs earlier this year. And obviously Amazon has its dance partner now. And so we'll see how this develops. One of my favorite posts, I think, from last week was somebody said, I don't care if I get caught. I was heavily involved with the NBA illegal gambling scheme. My name is Andy Jassy. I work at Amazon.com.
I didn't realize that there were I feel like once you get to Mag 7 level, you don't have a retail army that gets frustrated about middling financial performance. But I guess Andy Jassy does have a little
they were proud member of the Lag 7. If you look at Alphabet. The Lag 7.
What's that?
They were, not the Lag 7, but they were the lagging part of the Mag 7, right?
Oh, so that's a thing? That's a meme? Or
it's a meme. It's a meme.
Oh, I haven't heard this one.
It's a pleasure to introduce you to a new meme. Alphabet up 247% over the last 5 years. Amazon is still only up 62% even after the pop.
Wow, yeah.
This week. So,
that's the story with Amazon. We also got Apple earnings after we wrapped the show. Before I tell you about Apple, let me tell you about Privy, wallet infrastructure for every bank. Privy makes it easy to build on crypto rails, securely spin up white label wallets, sign transactions, and integrate on-chain infrastructure all through one simple API.
Okay, Sarah Wang, GP over at Andreessen, just posted, the only thing better than Halloween is Halloween AI edition, in case you missed it, tagged Ilya and Marc. And of course, no AI here. We did this one the old-fashioned way.
We did this organically.
The organic intelligence.
It would be interesting to actually benchmark. Obviously, the frontier video models are remarkable, but we've done this bezel bench for a while where we went and did something very weird and very specific. and on that specific use case of Tyler, a person that it needs to be him, it needs to look like him, and he has to be wearing 6 different watches, and you have to zoom in from the very start all the way out, and he has to be lying down, and so you really have to understand how the anatomy comes into the picture. The models haven't really been great. I feel like if we tried to recreate this using AI right now, it would get pretty chaotic. The fact that we're alive,
it would be choppy.
3 hours, it'd be doing, you could do a face swap live. We've had some founders come on the show and do them, but it feels like it's almost more of just like a trippy background. Descartes was really cool. Yeah, Descartes was awesome.
But it was still very much felt like a video game. It didn't feel photoreal.
Yeah, and
it didn't feel like you could reach out and touch.
You can, in fact, touch Jordy. Oh my god!
I'll be drinking through a straw today because.
Yeah. Is it locking yours in? My take is I have the same level of prosthetic makeup on, but I'm just full sending it, and by the end of the show, I'm expecting this to be melting off my face, basically.
Crumbling. We'll see how it holds up.
And we will also
moving on.
Tell you about Cognition. We're the makers of Devin, the AI software engineer. Crush your backlog with your personal AI engineering team. Yes. Did you want to go to Apple or did you want to go somewhere else?
Let's go to Microsoft.
Microsoft. Okay. What's your Microsoft take?
Top line beat, earnings beat. Stock traded down 3 to 4% after hours. It's recovered quite a bit since then. I said I was surprised to see Microsoft trade down following earnings, but it's recovered since. Satya, in my view, has already gotten a lot more credit for the company's opportunities in AI than Amazon and even Google. People have known about Google's strengths, but the big questions around search have held back performance to date. Microsoft hasn't really had any narratives holding it back, but I don't think people give them enough credit for the OpenAI deal. If you believe Gen AI is a sustaining innovation and will transform knowledge work, there is not a company in the world that is better positioned from a product and a distribution standpoint. Again, we talked about this with Satya on Tuesday. There are so many companies that are trying to build Excel plus an agent on top of it. Or agents for Excel, which is exactly what Microsoft is also doing with Excel with Copilot, right? And they're model agnostic. They're going to be able to bring in any kind of intelligence that they want. And so, anyways, I think they continue to be super well positioned. It's also fascinating because they have access to OpenAI's IP. OpenAI wants to be a big player in the workplace, right? You can imagine them getting into a bunch of other applications there, and so it'll be that competitive dynamic is just something that we're going to be watching for a long time.
I saw some haters on the timeline talking about Microsoft launched a research product, and in the hot take was like Microsoft's late to launch this, and it's somehow worse. Like they couldn't even just copy exactly. And I was thinking like there is something real about like when a big company launches one of those features, like they typically have to move a little bit slower because maybe they're regulated by Europe. They're international. They have they obey all the different rules around accessibility, and they have like 25. They might be like SOC 2 compliant, plus ITAR compliant, plus 25 other compliant levels that just slow down like how fast you can move and how many things you can break. But that is very different. Like as an early adopter, it's very different to look at a new product from a 40, 50-year-old tech giant and say like, I prefer like the cutting edge product, as opposed to like what actually plays out in the market. Like Slack was very much the same thing, where Slack was this product that was so much better than the alternatives. Like I don't know if you ever used like workplace chat pre-Slack, but it was.
I was basically born.
You were born on Slack. Okay, you were born on Slack, but Slack really was like a delightful, like how there's just those companies that come out and you're like, like this company takes design seriously. This company is a power user of Figma. Think bigger, build faster. Figma helps design and development teams build great products together. But how you get that vibe, and then you get the other vibe where it's like, oh, this company is owned by private equity and they don't really care.
John, I got to give you, the chat's giving you a shout out. I never knew John was so ripped. There's been some other comments. Put it up. Put him up, John. There
Ilya,
you go.
Baby, let's go. Ilya, AGI has been achieved. Let's go.
Ben Gilbert in the chat. You guys are absolutely saying I love it.
Welcome to the stream, Ben. Thank you so much for stopping by. You're an absolute legend. We couldn't do this show without you. Massive, inspiring, everything that they've done over at Acquired.
Totally.
If you've been living under a data center, get over to acquired.fm, subscribe.
Let's get into Meta. Let's talk about Meta.
Yes. Meta.
Top line beat, earnings miss.
Massive miss, like a $12 billion. People are not talking enough about what happened. Like it is crazy that you could be operating such a big company and just be like, oops, $10 billion. And it's not like
think of how they've been spending.
It is crazy. This is like how you should. Yeah.
This is like, I'm sure Meta and the executive team, it's like after a weekend bender checking like your credit card statement, right? It's like you have an idea maybe of what you spent, but it's way beyond that.
Okay, wait. So Tyler, can you look up what the actual tax charge was? Because I don't think it was about Scale AI, which a lot of people would say, oh, that was a lot of money to pay for something that maybe is an acqui-hire, right? Or like the $3 billion that maybe Zuck just paid for like one AI researcher. Like he's been on the spree. I think this is a separate $10 billion charge.
Yeah.
Which is just
came out of nowhere.
It's crazy. I like the metaphor of like you're just on a bender and you're just like, oh, my credit card bill is so huge this month. What happened?
Wait, so are you talking about the $15 billion tax charge?
It's 5 more than I thought. I thought it was 10. I thought it was 10
was roughly
10.5.
14 point something.
14?
Came out of nowhere.
It was in the Wall Street Journal yesterday, but we'll
okay. So apparently it was a one-time tax charge related to the Big Beautiful Bill Act.
What?
So I'll read into this more, but it's not the.
It has nothing to do with research.
Yeah,
it has nothing to do with VR.
In the X chat says, from what I read, they missed only because of the tax prepayment, which is only on paper, not actually cash, and they said it would save them on tax costs over time.
Okay. Thank you, Noah. That's very helpful. Yeah. Okay. So they're changing the amount of like how they're accounting for these taxes, and so they took the hit to earnings. But is that why the stock traded down 10%? Is it specifically because of this one-time tax charge? Like, I don't know that it is. I think it might be.
I think it could be a little bit of vibes in the mix.
I liked your vibe-based analysis.
So your take was rough to be completely rebuilding an AI while simultaneously still finding footing in hardware. Core business rips though. My take in the newsletter was the timeline loves the core Meta business, but doesn't have a lot of faith in Zuck. I think that sounds harsh, but I think that is generally real.
Yeah.
People thought Bezos, who had a similar level of control over Amazon, was crazy to spend like he did building AWS, and he was ultimately completely vindicated. People thought Marc was crazy going all in on the metaverse and VR, and so far that part of the business like has not shown any signs of being ROI positive, right?
Yeah.
Like obviously they're still shipping. They're the new Meta Ray-Bans are like the leading publicly available pair of glasses.
It just feels like the win case there is like it's like an AirPods size business, right?
Yeah.
Like it's hard to get to. Okay, yes, this is going to be as big as even Waymo. I don't know.
I don't know. I think that if you actually win that category, it could be an iPhone size business.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that he shouldn't be investing there.
Yeah.
But I don't think the market believes that he's going to win that category yet.
Which is fascinating because what company do you think is in the lead in terms of VR and AR right now? Rank them. Who do you think is? I think
the challenge is when products are not at the level where people are saying, "I love this. I use this all the time. I use this every day. I can't live without it."
Yeah.
You don't get credit for being at the leading edge.
Yeah, people aren't saying that yet.
Like people expect Apple to come over the top and do,
They tried and it didn't pencil.
No, I know, but now they're working on a pair of glasses, and it's going to integrate with your iPhone. It's going to integrate with iMessage, and like that's going to be a real competitive, challenge for Meta.
No. It's a really good argument. It's really good.
So anyway. At the same time, giving Meta some credit, Reels is now a $50 billion revenue run rate.
Let's go.
Let's hit the gong for the Reels team. Threads is also. Where's our mallet? It's over here. Ilya gong hit incoming. The moment you've been waiting for. Clean. Moving on, the market reacted positively to the Scale AI acquisition and hiring spree, but I think investors have the right to be concerned about Meta's vision and ability to generate revenue from their Gen AI efforts, either directly or indirectly, anytime soon. I'm still shocked they released Meta Vibes, knowing how much scrutiny their first release as a new team would get.
Yeah.
The product showed a complete lack of vision, in my opinion, and just product quality when compared to Sora, which launched about a week later. So it felt like they knew Sora was coming. They wanted to be first to market with an AI native social feed, and they did not
case
bring
is that they
the
just completely burned the ships on the Meta AI app. Like, because that app was originally, the reason that I have it on my phone is because I got Meta Ray-Bans. And so when I got Meta Ray-Bans, I had to get the Meta app to use the Ray-Bans. Then it turned into the Meta AI app, and it was like, hey, do you want to use this as an LLM? And I was like, I'm basically good on that front, but thanks. And then they were like, well, do you want some AI video? Would you like some slop in this drop? Which is just like it's just a wild canvas to be iterating on so quickly. They used to launch different apps every single time, but not this time. I don't know. The Meta Vibes needs a turn. I still like the Midjourney model. I think it is beautiful. I think there is something cool to be done with that.
I'm not judging the outputs,
it needs more
but
UI.
The big problem is that you couldn't, as a user, consistently generate beautiful things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas with Sora, it's not like they were necessarily beautiful, but at least they were entertaining.
Yeah.
And that's what kicked off that viral
it just got
so the main thing is like for Microsoft, Google, and Amazon, it's a lot more clear what winning in AI actually looks like. I think Meta's going to have to clarify what the win state looks like beyond just saying we're building personal superintelligence, because investors are smart enough to know that that like personal superintelligence doesn't mean a lot today when the business today is focused on monetizing the world's attention.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I expect them at some point to have to kind of clarify what their plans are.
Yeah. Tesla beat earnings, beat on revenue, missed on earnings. The stock reaction was down about 4% after hours. You reposted the Buco Capital blog post. I'm always so confused when Tesla goes down on earnings, as business performance is completely irrelevant to the price of the stock. And it has been more of a vibes-based stock for a while. I had a more by-the-book analysis. I said, if Elon goes straight shot to the full self-driving equivalent for humanoid robots, basically no teleoperation, the project should be years behind what's going on with 1X, I would imagine, just like the Waymo dynamic. Like Waymo was able to launch a lot sooner because they could always fall back on, hey, there's a human teleoperating this thing, so you can trust us on the city streets. And they've had a pretty good track record because of that. Tesla's going full moonshot, full send, but it's going to take a little bit longer. Like no one debates the fact that like Tesla's robotaxi fleet is a year or two behind Waymo's right now. Now the Tesla bull hope is that you come from behind and start compounding because you have just structurally better costs, way more manufacturing capacity, more of a flywheel on the actual data and the training. There's a lot of options. And I said they also need to build a full-size SUV.
You can't wait for that.
I just think it's so crazy not to build a full-size SUV in America. Like Americans love full-size SUVs, and you see them. It's like, it's as crazy as not being in the truck market for as long as they were.
Yeah, it's interesting that Tesla has been so dependent on the luxury sedan for its entire history, even though the luxury sedan has like completely fallen off in popularity. I saw some data on Lexus's sales. Lexus used to sell one of the most popular like luxury SUVs, and they sell like either like single digit thousands now of them a year. So it's like that category has gotten just killed by the SUV. And Tesla, of course, has the X and the Y, but it's not exactly what if they were to ship like the Cybertruck SUV, I think that would sell significantly better than the Cybertruck.
Yeah. I wonder if they'll ever do multiple brands. It's so normal at every other car company, but I see no reason why Tesla would ever do it.
Yeah.
Like Lexus is what, Toyota's upmarket brand, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that the linkage?
I
don't know.
I doubt Elon would ever.
I mean, Plaid was sort of like the trim level.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'd ever do a different trim level. Like, Plaid plus like what is the equivalent of like the Maybach of Tesla if Plaid is their AMG, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think he cares about.
They have that in China. They have like a Maybach-ified Model X or Model S that's like chauffeur, where the seats, front seats are pushed forward, basically. I have other Elon Musk news, but first let me tell you about Vanta. Automate compliance, manage risk, prove trust continuously. Vanta's trust management platform takes the manual work out of your security and compliance process and replaces it with continuous automation, whether you're pursuing your first framework or managing a complex program. Elon Musk on data centers in orbit. SpaceX will be doing this. He said he's going to do data centers in space.
Didn't we say this out loud yesterday with someone? I don't know if it was on the show or not, but it just seems obviously if there is an
if it's a thing and like, it's big, they're going to try and do it.
It's easy to be bullish on space right now.
Yep.
But if you're investing in different categories, you have to imagine that if there are adjacent opportunities besides Starlink for SpaceX to do, they will enter them if they are large enough categories. And so, again, that's
what does that mean for StarCloud?
I mean, I can still think I can still imagine them over time figuring out like niche use cases, but building the satellite cloud, I think was something that Elon is not going to just happily hand over to someone else.
Yeah. So let's read through a little bit of this from Ars Technica. As artificial intelligence drives the need for vastly more computing storage and processing power. Computing storage. What does that mean? Interest in space-based data centers has spiked. Although several startup companies such as Star Cloud have begun to address the problem. They haven't. They're like identifying the problem, maybe prototyping. This is very oddly worded. I'm like struggling to read this. The idea has also attracted the interest of tech barons. In May, it emerged that former Google chief executive Eric Schmidt acquired Relativity Space due to his interest in space-based data centers. That's fascinating. I know that Relativity was not doing well with kind of the V1 strategy, and there was this turnaround project, and Eric Schmidt came in and was, I think, paying a ton to keep the business going and really investing. I had no idea that was his thesis. That's fascinating. Then earlier this month, Amazon founder Jeff Bezos predicted that gigawatt-scale data centers will be built in space within the next 10 to 20 years. That's big. Now, Elon Musk, whose SpaceX owns and operates significantly more space-based infrastructure than any other company or country in the world, has also expressed interest in technology. After Ars wrote a story about the potential of autonomous assembly to construct large data centers in space, Musk responded on X by saying that Starlink satellites could be used for this purpose. Simply scaling up Starlink V3 satellites, which have high-speed laser links, would work, he said on the social media site X. SpaceX will be doing this. Very interesting. I think it makes sense. The question is just like, what is the actual timeline for any of this? No one really expected Starlink to ramp as fast as it did. And then it just like kind of worked. But if there is, I don't know, if there is a lot of like actual fundamental, like foundational science around like heat dissipation that needs to be done, that might be something that's a little bit bottlenecked. But at the same time, I would kind of bet on the SpaceX team to figure that stuff out, since they already do a ton of heat dissipation and material science just on.
It's also just fascinating to look at the space industry versus the automotive industry. The automotive industry is the most brutally competitive, challenging business, where Elon is having to compete with every car manufacturer in the world. Obviously, there's export, import controls in automotive, but in space, it's like, you can imagine that being not a perfect monopoly, but certainly having every possible advantage in order to dominate in that category when the time is right. Should we talk about Apple before we continue?
Yeah, definitely.
Apple beat top line, beat on bottom line. China sales decline year over year. If you've been paying any attention to Apple, you know that their China business is slowly going away. iPhone revenue, they missed just by $300 million. Not
$50 billion, or $49 billion this quarter.
Yeah, iPhone revenue is $49 billion versus 49.33 estimate. Stock is relatively flat since then.
So this is the real this is the real bombshell in their strategy. Consumer Intelligence Research Partners, a third-party analyst firm, said it observed great interest in the Pro and Pro Max models, while the new iPhone 17 Air model showed virtually no sign of traction. So
I saw my first iPhone Air in the wild yesterday.
You saw that one get smashed. Tell that story.
Which one? Oh, this was genuinely like the most. I posted about this, but during LA Tech Week, we had a dinner.
Why'd you put it in quotes? It was LA Tech Week.
Well, there wasn't.
It literally was an LA Tech Week event. You're like Los Angeles
Technology
TBPN.
Week. No, so we had dinner with some folks, and there was a founder there from Venice, and he was saying that the iPhone Air is the strongest iPhone ever made, and that he challenged anybody at the dinner. There was like 20 people.
Do you remember Bendgate? Do you remember do you remember Bendgate, Tyler? It was like the iPhone 5 or something. There was.
I was pretty young.
Okay, yeah, you're probably before your time. But there was a time when the iPhone launched and you could just bend it, and it was like a lot of phones were getting bent. So this guy is going to you, and he's going around and saying that no one can bend this phone, right?
Yeah.
That's the strongest.
No. He said nobody can break this phone.
No one can break it.
He said this phone is absolutely unbreakable.
Unbreakable.
They've tested it internally. You cannot break it. It's the strongest iPhone ever. They compared it to every other iPhone, even the titanium iPhone.
Okay.
And so he was bending it like this, going crazy. And he challenged anybody at the dinner to say, who wants to try to break this phone? And a Gundo founder, I'm leaving both of them unnamed, a Gundo founder.
And we got Gabriel from OpenAI in the chat. Good luck, man. You're building cameos over there, but you're going to compete with us.
We're doing it the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, we're doing it the old-fashioned way. It just took us 3 hours sitting here in makeup.
What do you mean 3 hours? It was like more like 4 hours.
It was like 4 hours. So Gabriel, you've sped that up just a little bit, but I think we're sticking with this for the meantime.
Okay, so anyways, this founder challenges the entire group at dinner. Can anybody break this phone? The Gundo founder raises his hand, takes the phone, and like tries for a second and just snaps it, basically. Not just
completely shatters it.
Completely broken, won't even turn on. And the Venice founder sitting there saying he was like in disbelief. Like the whole room just went completely quiet, and he was like, I'm gonna email Tim Cook about this.
Emailing Tim Cook? What is he gonna do? You're not supposed to smash your phone.
Anyways, on Apple, John, your take, you said sort of the inverse meta, core business not at risk due to AI, but not investing aggressively. Consumers seem happy to just open an LLM app. Good take. I said Apple's trading at 40 times PE with very low growth. This feels steep, even if I don't think they're threatened by AI in the near term. And then I highlighted a quote from Bernard Arnault from LVMH. He said, I don't know if in 20 years' time people will be using iPhones, but I do know they will be drinking Dom Perignon.
It's a good one. And hopefully they'll be using graphite.dev. Code review for the age of AI. Graphite helps teams on GitHub ship higher quality software faster. In other news...
we should close it out with NVIDIA just to finish this little earnings wrap up. Basically, our John, your take was on top of the world, but is the head that wears the crown heavy? Core AI factory build out going flawlessly, but unclear why NVIDIA is pushing data centers in space, humanoids, quantum computing, mumbo jumbo.
Maybe it's real.
Maybe just bored of the same old AI story? Mark? I said I don't think Jensen would be just chugging beers on camera in Korea if he was having a rough one. So. We'll see how it nets out. Their earnings are not until November 18th. What's wrong with chugging
some beers? What's wrong with chugging some beers? Especially, I mean, you gotta he is superlative at this point. I believe just quantitatively, he is the most value creative founder CEO in human history. Like no founder CEO has created 5 trillion. I mean, like no one's created 5 trillion in any capacity, whether in the CEO seat or not. Because like with a Microsoft or with an Apple, you have to start having the conversation when you're having the GOAT debate on how much credit do you give to Tim Cook for market cap creation, how much credit do you give to Steve Jobs, right? And same thing with Satya Nadella and Bill Gates. Like obviously Satya has taken Microsoft from 300 billion to 4 trillion. Does that mean that he's 10 times better than the founders that started the company in the GOAT debate of value creation? Like he had a lot of great shoulders to stand on.
It's not entirely about number go up.
Exactly. But with Jensen, you don't even have to have that debate because he's been the founder CEO the whole time. And so he deserves a beer. Let the man have a couple beers with his boys in South Korea. He's been on an absolute tear.
A couple more posts here. Jay Boltard says, I'm sorry, but no company generating the cash Meta is with the margins it has should ever be raising money. Of course, they announced another bond sale yesterday morning to fund their build-out. Jay Boltard said, absolutely pathetic. Maybe just spend a little less and don't pay every AI scientist like their Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah. I want to understand more about the private credit dynamic here, because I believe that they're like a good CFO would tell you that if you're buying land, you should get a mortgage because it can be secured. And there's just some like cost of capital math that you should do. And it would actually be irresponsible. Like if they were saying, hey, we're going to build a new data center. We need to buy some land. We need to buy a building, buy a bunch of GPUs. And they're like, and guess what? We're not going to use debt. Like that's like paying off your mortgage, basically. And it's like, okay, yeah, you can pay off your mortgage. And you can be like, I'm one of those guys that doesn't have a mortgage. And it's like, congratulations, but you're probably not using capital efficiently.
Yeah.
And so when I hear that they're setting up a big data center and they're raising debt for that particular deal, I don't have like red flags flying off in my mind. But I don't know. This Boultard guy does.
Semi-Analysis had a post here quoting Sundar. Sundar said, over the past 12 months, nearly 150 Google Cloud customers each processed approximately 1 trillion tokens with our models for a wide range of applications. For example, WPP is creating campaigns with up to 70% efficiency gains. Swarovski has increased email open rates by 17%. Let's give it up for increasing email open rates and accelerated campaign localization by 10x. Semi-Analysis says, AI is not a bubble. Enterprise AI is very strong. Nearly 150 enterprises each process 1 trillion tokens with Gemini models for a wide range of apps. And then they say, wait, that's less than $1 million per year per enterprise or 150 million of annual revenue, i.e. 0.3% of GCP annual revenue. So
the fact that Google leads with token count instead of revenue growth tells you everything. If enterprise AI was actually strong, those 150 companies would be spending 10x more. I don't know about that because when you're a big company, like you don't want to break out like more GAAP metrics, non-GAAP metrics than you absolutely have to. Like, because if you develop some monster of a business, like the AWS IPO story, the whole idea that Amazon had this amazing business and was like, oh yeah, like just include that in everything else. Like definitely don't let everyone know. And Satya told this to us on the show he was like, when AWS had to disclose what was going on over there, it was the best day for us because everyone looked at our business and we're like, they got the same thing going on over there. They got a monster of a business cooking. And so the question of like how Google positions this, like, do they want to share dollars? But I don't know. I just wonder, what the shape of GCP adoption is if it's nearly 150 Google Cloud customers each processed 1 trillion. I wonder how narrow that slice is.
I mean, yeah, if Sundar would come out and says, we got enterprise AI to $150 million run rate, everyone would be like, but it sounds really good when you say 1 trillion.
Yeah, that is a weird way to frame it. I don't know. I mean, this is all so weird because it's like, okay, so then what's actually happening in the core business? Because they crushed earnings. Like they did great, and it's like,
Cloud
so
is still.
Are we just in this weird world where every business is like, yeah, I totally want, like, I'll take $1 million of tokens, but then I also need $75 million more of just traditional databases. Is that what's going on? Like what's actually driving the growth, if not the token generation?
Yeah.
There might just be something longer tail going on here too. This might just be like this slice of this 150 enterprises that's actually, that only makes up, I don't know. The big question is just what percentage of GCP annual revenue is AI, is Gen AI? Like we've seen that the CapEx at Meta, they have core AI, they have Gen AI. Like everyone wants to track that now about what workload is happening. Sometimes the hyperscalers don't know because they just said, look, I just rented you a bunch of GPUs. Are you inferencing a recommendation algorithm on it? Are you playing video games on it? Are you generating tokens on it? We actually don't know because we respect your privacy and you can do whatever you want with it. So all we can tell the market is like, hey, we've sold a lot of GPU hours.
Yeah.
And it's all masked. Anyway, Tyler, what you got?
I mean, yeah, $1 trillion is just like not a lot at all.
It's just not a lot. Because
OpenAI is doing like on the API like something around like $250 trillion a month. So compared to that, I mean, if it's $1 trillion over the past like year, even if it's 150, I mean, that's pretty bad.
Each 150 trillion tokens, and you said
OpenAI is doing like 260
I actually can't keep these numbers straight anymore. Like there's, it's just like everything is like nothing's in apples to apples, and I think that's very much intentional. I think that you don't want to be easily comped across anything. That's why everyone just focuses on valuation and then revenue and revenue scale.
Dylan Patel says, so many people hated on us for the AWS acceleration thesis a couple months ago, and we were right, of course. Only we can do these calls due to our deep knowledge and insights with core research, data center accelerator, and tokenomics models. Amazon, and he does the AMZN and just drops sales at semianalysis.com. So I expect Semianalysis to be printing the next
legendary chart
24 hours. This was crazy. I wasn't sure if this was fake news or not, but on the Coinbase earnings call yesterday, Brian Armstrong there was a prediction market that people were betting on which words he would say during the earnings call, and he waited until the end, and he just read through and read off every single word that he had missed. He says, I just wanted to add the words in here: Bitcoin, Ethereum, blockchain staking, and Web3 to make sure we get those all in before the end of the call. So completely trolling. We've had that a few times during interviews.
Because I was tracking the prediction market about what Coinbase will say on their next earnings call, and I just want to, add here the words Bitcoin, Ethereum, blockchain, staking, and Web3.
It's actually crazy that he hadn't gotten to Bitcoin until then. Why? It really tells you a lot about how mature the Coinbase business is that you can get to the end of your Q3 2025 earnings call without mentioning Bitcoin, which was like the entire reason the business exists. But the business has grown so much that there's a lot else going on.
It's possible that he said it and he just didn't remember.
Maybe, but it is funny that he's just.
But yeah, one thing is we've had prediction markets created around different interviews we've done, and
when Sam Altman came on, he was
distracting when I'm looking at the chat and people are like, say this word. Yeah. Say that word again.
It's crazy.
Say it 3 more times.
It's a very weird postmodern hyper techno capital accelerationist aesthetic to be like, people are gambling on the words that you're saying on a live stream. It's very, very weird. I don't know I would love to know Brian's honest take on how he feels about that. There's a little bit of just the market is going to exist. It's going to be a thing. And so by doing this, he's kind of trolling the market to just say, hey, you're never going to be able to reliably bet on this market because you never know what I'm going to do. Which is one way to interact with it, as opposed to being like, hey guys, I know that everyone has a prediction market up on what I'm going to say, and so please don't do that. It's like, no, just go create chaos, and then everyone will just know that it's a meme and chaos.
Well, it's going to just drive more attention to the next earnings call because people are going to be like, oh, is he going to, well, I'll just bet yes on everything in case he does that again.
Oh,
so the odds might be at 95% for every word, and then he just says he just doesn't mention it at all, and then everything.
It certainly kind of cements him as just a very in the culture CEO and a very online founder, which I think is positive. We are of course partnered with Polymarket as a prediction market. We're usually tracking the largest companies on there. Largest company at the end of 2025. NVIDIA has been predicted, of course, and
what's
even
the
going
percentage?
Into next year, it's 99% now. I mean, they're $1 trillion above everyone else. It was a horse race, though.
It was really close midsummer.
Yeah,
at one point.
I mean, the market caps were eclipsing each other, and they were going back and forth. And at one point,
June 1st, Microsoft and NVIDIA were both at 37% exactly.
Yeah, it's been a pretty crazy. It's been a pretty crazy year because of the tariffs and the AI narrative and the DeepSeek moment. The horse race has changed a few times, and Microsoft has been in the lead. Apple's been in the lead. But NVIDIA is running away with it, and that deserves a beer with your boys in South Korea. That's what he's been up to.
Did you fully understand? There's an article here. Microsoft seemingly just revealed that OpenAI lost $11.5 billion last quarter.
That seems like in line with what we've been kind of assuming. It's a massive loss-making business. I don't know that we'd heard that they were on a 40 billion loss run rate, but that kind of lines up with the amount of money that they've been raising.
Maybe Intel.
Like you mean the biggest?
Like who's losing more money than OpenAI?
Do you count CapEx as losing money? Because I would almost certainly assume that these are not losses; these are investments. So if I raise $10 million for my startup, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna buy an office building for $5 million. Like that's not negative $5 million earnings. That is negative $5 million cash flow. I've lost $5 million cash, and I don't have liquid cash anymore. And so I would assume that a lot of OpenAI's losses are actually investments in CapEx one way or another. But they're also probably losing.
Stock-based comp is factored into this as well.
Yeah, and that's also in many cases a non-cash expense. And so. Still important to track, still significant, but all of this stuff, it's like I'm kind of in like a wait and see until the S1 drops, until we can actually get data. Do you have any intel?
Yeah, so apparently this is double what what has previously been reported. Mm-hmm. So I think before there was a report that said the first half of 2025 they were going to do 3.5 in losses. Mm-hmm. So this is basically double that. Yeah. But even then, it's still, I don't think this is very surprising at all.
It's so hard to track how much money they're actually raising, because they'll raise for a particular deal, they'll raise for Stargate, there'll be a secondary transaction. It's very hard to understand like how much cash is actually going from investors onto OpenAI's like for-profit balance sheet that is like available to burn. And then once you have the cash, like I think everyone's fine with the idea of Sam Altman burning money for 12 to 18 months and going out and raise more. Like that's not crazy when you're growing your business, especially in a new category.
In other news, Palantir sues former employees for stealing company secrets. Company alleges pair violated non-competes to create copycat AI firm.
Interesting.
The two employees, they're accusing them of stealing confidential data to build a rival company called Percepta, backed by General Catalyst.
I would not want to steal from Palantir.
Bad idea.
That seems like one of the worst companies to steal from.
They will find you.
Yeah.
And they will kill you. The company,
about that, but it is a wild thing.
You think about a company that's going to have things pretty locked down.
Their whole shtick is knowing what's going on.
They know that. If I remember, I read the article yesterday, but I believe they tracked that the employee had Slacked themselves a document that they then opened on their phone and presumably, saved. So we'll see how this nets out. They say that taking access to Palantir's crown jewels, such as source code and customer workflows, to create what it called a copycat platform. So they're just trying to block them from using the data and to force the return of stolen materials. One of the comments says, never go against a company that sued the government and won. So,
interesting. Shyam Sankar was on the
Ross Douthat.
It was really good. I don't know how much you listened to, but it's funny because they open with the classic question of what does Palantir actually do? And I don't know, why are people so confused by that question? It's so crazy to me. It's and Shyam explains it extremely well. He's just like. You have data. We help you understand your data. We help you understand what's going on there. He's like, it's a data analytics firm, sir.
It's the same exact thing when Trey Stevens went on Sean Ryan.
Yeah.
The questions were almost the same exact questions. What does Palantir do? And then
interesting.
You read the comments and then everyone's like, this is the Antichrist.
Yeah, people go crazy. And I think Shyam had this great example of when you want to make a thing, if you're running a manufacturing plant, you will have a system for tracking if you're trying to make yerba mate, you will have a system that stores the specifications of the can, what type of ink you're using here, the size of the can, the shape, what materials, how this gets printed. That will all be managed in a particular software system. Then how you're actually making the cans will be Like, oh, okay, I'm producing 25 cans a second or whatever. That will be tracked in a different system. Then you might have a CRM to sell. Who do I sell these cans to? I'm selling them, every month. Jordy buys a bunch. So I have a CRM that tracks you. And he's just describing like the different enterprise software tooling sets, like CRM, CMS, warehouse management system, inventory management system. He's just describing those and explaining how Palantir can tie them all together and how Palantir can build them. And sometimes you need custom ones for specific industries.
Well, let's check in with the Palantir Bulls.
Anyway, yes. What do the Palantir Bulls say?
The Palantir Bulls will get exhausted at these levels. Full send.
I like the guy doing.
Our team workout should look like that.
We don't break nearly enough of a sweat compared to this. This is so sick. Let's go. Look at this.
Bro, backflips.
I like that guy who's just like racing it like it's a chariot or like it's a horse race. That's hilarious. Yeah, this also seems slightly sped up. Maybe. What do we think? Do you think this is like 1.1x?
This slowed down.
Oh, you think it's slowed down? You think it's slowed down? Get on Julius.ai. What analysis do you want to run? Chat with your data. Get expert level insights in seconds. Where to next? We got the mansion section. There's a bunch of stuff we can go through. Did you hear that the Hamptons market is making an epic comeback? Let's go. Finally.
The moment
home sales of $10 million or more houses are surging on the East End, even topping the COVID surge. In the Hampton, New York's affluent beach vacation destination, the luxury real estate market has come roaring back. Have you ever been to the Hamptons? I still think I've never been.
I actually
Bobby Cosmic was worried about the
maybe
Hamptons.
As a kid, but not as an adult.
The number of home sales above $10 million on Long Island's East End has surged to unprecedented levels, even topping the area's pandemic boom. The uptick comes even as Florida and other locales have replaced New York City as a primary home for many billionaires. The Hamptons is, for a lack of a better term, kicking ASS at the very high end of the market. Wow, uncensored swear word in the Journal. Absolute dogs over there in the writers room.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean,
out of control.
Out of control.
We would never.
We got to get this under control. No, I think that's not that bad of a word. ASS. The high-end Hamptons market was in the doldrums before COVID. Home sales of 10 million or more plummeted from 58 in 2015 to 30 in 2019 as the ritzy area faced increased competition from areas such as Nantucket or Hudson Valley. And so there are some stories here. To the manor born.
I've been working at my land thesis.
Yes,
I think that it's probably the most underrated asset class right now.
Well, don't spill the alpha.
I'm down to share the alpha with all
the alpha's going to get a bit
team.
Away, right?
I just think throughout all human history, people were like, "How do I acquire land?"
Yes,
and then at some point or another, people just stopped, right? It became just about getting the home,
yes,
and not thinking about land. So
where do you want land? Do you want to buy Fifth Avenue to
I just want to buy up land in the area that I love the most, which
American jurisdiction?
Of course, America.
California?
Of course, California.
So Southern California.
I'll never give up on California.
I still think there's huge alpha in just acquiring massive swaths of Alaskan land.
Yeah,
You've
been working this one out for a while.
Yeah, I think it's massively underrated because if global warming is real and unstoppable, and we can't fight the force of global warming, well then temperatures will rise. And Alaska will be the last beachfront property. It'll be balmy. It'll be amazing. Everything else will be a desert, but Alaska will be nice and temperate, and that's where you want to be.
We'll see.
And if we cure global warming, if we stop global warming, if we wind up figuring out how to manipulate the environment, we harness
you can manipulate time.
Yeah, manipulating time, manipulating the weather. If Augustus is successful, if geoengineering is successful, well then it's not going to be cold up there because you'll just be able to transform it into a lush environment,
Tropical
72
Alaska
and sunny all day. So I think in either scenario, no matter where you land on on global warming. Is it unstoppable? Is it preventable? Alaska looks great in that world. What do you think?
Did you ever resolve your beef with the Alaskans?
No.
They didn't.
So I posted on X. Actually, it was Twitter back then. Like 4 years ago, I posted, we got to go to Alaska and we got to build some condominiums. We got to build some strip malls. We got to build some skyscrapers. It's too nice up there. And I was basically like, we're all the tech people, all my tech friends, we're all going to go to Alaska. And the Alaskans did not like this. They said, "Stay out of Alaska, you tech boy." And I was getting attacked from both the left and the right.
You kind of listened too.
I did. In fact, I did not invade Alaska. But yeah, I was getting lots of DMs from Alaskans who are, gun-toting, good old boy Americans.
Like, do not step foot.
You wouldn't last a day up here. You're not tough enough for the Alaskan wilderness. And then I was also getting canceled by the left Alaskans who are like, this is my indigenous homeland. You can't come here, that type of thing. And so I was getting it from both sides. I wound up locking my account because the post went majorly viral in Alaskan, Alaska Twitter. Of course, I was joking around, but the internet doesn't care about that.
Twitter's such a small place already. Imagine how small Alaska Twitter is.
Yeah.
There's like six posters up there.
Yeah.
Regional posters.
But this is the lesson for folks who post and are worried about getting canceled. Not that you should go out there and get canceled, but if it does happen, if it usually starts by somebody quote posting you, and you can tell that you posted something, you got 100 likes, but the quote post is taking off and people are having a lot of fun quote tweeting you. Well,
that's
if you
when
lock
the
your
like
account,
ratio on the original post is just abysmal.
Exactly. So if that happens, you can just bail by locking your account, which then kills the quote tweet because it doesn't show up in the quote tweet. And so no one's liking or retweeting a quote tweet with just this account is locked. And so it just kills the virality of the quote and the dunk. And so you stop getting dunked on, and then no one can really DM you or reply to you or dig through your account. And so usually, at least in the short term, people are kind of like, moving on to something else. I'm not letting it percolate. We should talk to Lulu about how to handle cancellations when she hops on. She's, of course, seen a bunch of these. Speaking of people who should be canceled, someone owns a disgusting house in Los Angeles. We got to dig into this. The mansion section is really getting wild today. They put a curse word in here. Don't like that. They also are listing an $85 million mansion here for sale in LA, an estate with a curated collection of SEX toys. What's going on, mansion section? Why are you getting so wild on Friday, October 31st? I don't know.
Spooky.
It has a pleasure suite.
Not like them.
A pair of Los Angeles mansions, one with a pleasure suite outfitted with a curated collection of sex toys, is hitting the market for $85 million. The seller is British music producer Alex da Kid. He's 44. He spent 14 years building one of the houses, a roughly 24,000...
14 years?
Yeah, he started when he was 30, I guess.
He thinks in decades.
In addition to the pleasure suite, the Hollywood Hills home, which Da Kid called his entertainer's fortress, has 8 pools, very cool, an auto elevator, and a private nightclub. In 2020, Da Kid purchased an adjacent 5-bedroom home with its own pool for around $7.6 million, property records show. He bought the roughly 6,125 square foot house with the idea of adding it to the main residence, he said, but ultimately decided to use it as a guest house instead. Da Kid bought the first property, a Spanish-style home in the Bird Streets area, for around $4.3 million in 2011. The purchase came shortly after renegotiating his first publishing deal.
Mr. Morale in the chat. Alex Da Kid. He's 44.
His real name is 44. Alexander J. Grant. I basically got this house thinking it would be a 6-month remodel, but after more than a year of renovating, Da Kid decided to raise the house, destroying it, and start over. It was like making an album for me, Da Kid said. I got these other ideas. McLean, who's known for designing modern mansions, is a madman just like me, Da Kid said. The 4-bedroom house has a glass elevator for cars, a pleasure suite with a Murphy bed and mirrored wall, contains antique chairs customized with patent leather upholstery, restraints, and chains. Oy, oy, oy. I think we're beyond the days of it being taboo to enjoy pleasure, Da Kid said. I wanted a place where you could feel comfortable and intimate and explore.
All right, let's go to the next topic.
We're not past it. It is taboo. Tear your house down. I don't know. No, the mansion section is all over the place today. Shutterstock founder sells a Bridgehampton home. What a great time to get out of Shutterstock with the dawn of generative imagery. This has to be one of the hardest businesses
this is John.
to make.
He's not out yet. He's still the executive chairman.
Yes, so but he's clearly sold enough to buy a $57 million.
We should have John on. I'd be interested to hear how he's.
Yeah.
How I mean, I'm sure they get so much traffic still, and I imagine they just help people generate assets based on other assets.
I mean, the bull case is the Reddit thesis, right? Where you're licensing the data, and that's actually very valuable, and the stock sort of pops off of that. He sold his oceanfront house in Bridgehampton, New York, for $57 million, according to people familiar with the deal. He bought it for $40 million in 2014. He's listed the house. The buyer's identity couldn't be learned. We're gonna have to figure that out. Get to the bottom of it. Let's see. Set on more than 2 acres, the modern Bridgehampton home has a gym, a game room, and a media room. Interesting. Outside, there is an infinity pool. You'll love that.
There we go.
An outdoor kitchen, a fireplace, and a television. A private lighted walkway that leads to the beach. Sales volume in the Hamptons hit a 14-year low, but it's coming back. And the founder of Shutterstock is getting out at maybe the top, but a local boom. Very fun. What else is going on the timeline?
Back to the timeline in the journal as well.
Back to the timeline. Turbo Puffer.
There we go.
Search everybody. Serverless vector and full text search, built from first principles and object storage. Fast, 10x cheaper, and extremely scalable. Continue.
BlackRock stung by loans to businesses accused of breathtaking fraud. An entrepreneur tapped private credit funds to finance his telecom businesses. Now the lenders say he defrauded them. Stock market news over on X says we have our 4th private credit collapse in 2 months. And this one shows exactly why institutional lenders shouldn't be justified to verify their own collateral. Bakim Bambat ran Carriox Capital, a New York telecom financing outfit that convinced BlackRock's HPS investment partners and BNP Paribas to lead him $552 million. The entire deal was built on one claim. He had legitimate receivables from T-Mobile, Telstra,
interesting. Receivables
Telecom,
fraud.
Italia, Sparkle, and Taiwan Mobile backing the loans. None of it was real. Brahmbot forged contracts that appeared to be signed by representatives from these carriers. He created fake invoices supposedly issued by these companies claiming they owed Carriox money. Then he spoofed email addresses mimicking these carriers' real domains and sent verification emails to make the receivables look legitimate. By stacking these fabricated invoices on top of each other, he created what looked like $500 million plus in collateral. The lenders sought assets and funded the deal without catching any of it. Here's where it gets embarrassing. When HPS and BNP Paribas finally tried to verify these receivables by actually calling T-Mobile, the carrier said they had no idea what Carriox was talking about. No contracts, no invoices, nothing existed. One phone call would have instantly revealed the entire fraud. These are supposed to be institutional-grade lenders with world-class risk management, yet somehow they missed basic due diligence. While all this was happening, Brahmbot's people were also stealing cash whenever payments came through the lender-controlled collection accounts. Instead of applying those funds to the debt, they diverted the money offshore, so he wasn't just fabricating collateral, he was stealing actual cash flows in real time. Lenders sued in August 2025 and froze all assets. Then they filed the company Carriox filed for bankruptcy with up to $1 billion in liabilities and basically zero assets remaining. HPS is sitting on $500 million in losses with nothing to recover against. The kicker is that BlackRock acquired HPS for $12 billion in July 2025, specifically to expand into private credit and get access to its $148 billion platform. Within 90 days of closing that deal, they're holding a $500 million fraud loss on receivables that HPS supposedly vetted and monitored.
I mean, that's not that big of a deal, right?
$500 million.
I mean, it's not great, but it is like 5% of the deal. Like, I feel like people get deals mispriced by a couple percent every once in a while.
I mean, it's just, this is a big deal in the broader context of like private credit has exploded as an asset class.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, people have,
it's
we saw this with
like sloppiness.
What was
maybe,
that? What was the AB in the chat. Large-scale fraud is actually a sign of good times.
I mean, that's true. Yeah.
Who knows? But anyways, that auto parts company that went bankrupt a while back also had a bunch of private credit in the mix, and so I think people are just waiting for more and more.
We got to dig into that story of the satellite repossession. Maybe one of the
I don't know.
Private credit gets crazy. I mean, there's a famous example of one credit firm buying Argentinian debt and then repossessing a aircraft carrier or destroyer, like a military boat. And apparently the same thing can happen in space with satellites. Like it is possible to more or less repossess them. And so I think a lot of these deals, a lot of these private credit deals are like you're on a knife's edge in terms of like, are you going to continue to get payment, or are you going to need to get the value from the assets? Whereas in venture capital, it's just so much further out on the risk curve that you're never am I like a big piece of my business is making sure I can liquidate the Apple display monitors, in the office, or the Herman Miller chairs. It's like, no, that's going to be basically immaterial to your business. It's going to be the difference between, like 99% of the value is going to come from 1% of the investments anyway. And then of the money you lose, you're not going to be recouping an extra 5% and making a difference.
In some more positive news,
Google AI Studio.
That's right.
Create an AI-powered app faster than ever. Get started. Gemini understands the capabilities you need and automatically wires the right models and APIs up for you. You can get started at ai.studio/build. Continue.
Britton over at Microsoft says, please, Mr. President, respectfully let us buy this truck.
Let's go.
He was responding.
Wow, 64,000 likes on that.
Palmer Amazing. Says, working on this. This got another 20,000 likes. So people want these little Toyota trucks.
But what does this mean in the Palmer context? Does this mean he's going to like call the president and ask Trump to allow it? Or is he going to make a mod retro version of this car? Is Anduril going to produce this? Like there's like 12 different ways that Palmer could like solve this problem of like Americans not being able to get cool trucks. Which is interesting.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know if these trucks are blocked. Yeah. They're blocked in the U.S. or just you would have to import one yourself. But Ineos is basically, I think Ineos has basically done this. They have a, what do they have? It's not the main Grenadier.
Yeah.
But they have, I'm pulling it up right now, the Quartermaster. The Quartermaster from Grenadier looks quite a lot like this truck. But it's certainly, I think this one from Toyota internationally sells for like 10 to 20 grand. Yeah. Like it's very cheap.
Yeah, people love to point out the fact that the Ford F-150 has the same bed length as these tiny Japanese K trucks. But interestingly, that's just why you should always buy the Ford F-250 Super Duty crew cab with the long bed. Because if you just go for the biggest truck, then you will be bigger than the Japanese K truck. People love the K trucks. They have fun with those. Well, if you're starting a new truck company, you got to get your brand mentioned on ChatGPT. You got to go to Profound, reach millions of consumers who are using AI to discover new products and brands. Andrew Reed says, if I ran a company, my first act would be to ban hard-boiled eggs in the office.
Hard-boiled eggs are really an insane snack. I got to put these in quotes because the smell's
crazy.
So unbelievably bad
Yeah.
that you should be forced to eat them outside only.
Yeah. It's not more protein than a steak in a bag. You got to go Chesky mode. That's the way. If you want to have protein on the go, throw a steak in the bag and take it with you everywhere. The hard-boiled eggs in the office, that seems like an odd choice. Probably a time and a place. Maybe they should put
one time and one place.
One place would be like indoors. You know how in offices they have where you can go the smoking area. Like, I wouldn't have a problem with somebody going in if there's like a cigarette smoking area, like a back alley, and you can go into the back alley and hard-boiled eggs. That seems reasonable. People are smoking less and less.
Go outside, put one in each, cheek, and then go back.
Like chipmunk mode?
Go chipmunk mode, and then just pretend like you don't have them.
I don't know. Yeah, I've never been big in the hard-boiled egg thing. I have, however, been big into Linear. Linear is a purpose-built tool for planning and building products. Meet the system for modern software development, streamline issues, projects, and product roadmaps. Our first guests of the show are in the Restream waiting room. We have Lulu Meservey and Gaby Goldberg stopping by. Whoa! Look at this.
Oh shit!
Hey,
sorry. Hey,
you look fantastic. Is that a wig too?
Great. I don't know what you're talking about,
Yeah.
but it's great to see you guys. We were watch shopping during our break between sauna and eating cheeseburgers for breakfast.
The lore. The lore is coming through.
We are Gaby. Hey, John.
Yes.
John.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Very in the paper this morning.
Do you want to show? We're live. You want to show the watch you got?
Oh, this? Oh, this is nothing special. This is just my AP offshore, but it's been on the list for a while. So, yeah, great to finally cross that off the list. What watch did you get, Jordy?
Oh, I got the Jaeger LeCoultre.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
So it's in the same color, TBPN green, and it matches the new Maybach that I just bought. Did you know that's how you
Maybach.
It's the Maybach
Right.
is outside, and it matches this watch. And really sorry, guys. Let's get right into the show. John, you ready?
Yeah, let's do it, Jordy. All right. You're watching TBPN.
There we go.
Today is Friday, October 31st.
We are live from the TBPN Ultradome.
You even got the horse.
Of technology. The Fortress of Finance. The capital of capital.
They got the whole shtick.
Wow.
What is that?
Is that the soundboard?
What is that?
The air horn.
Oh, the air horn. Okay.
Oh, the air horn.
Happy
Halloween,
Happy
guys.
Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Happy
well
Halloween. Good to see you.
The chat is absolutely loving this.
We're big fans of you both, Ilya and Marc. So.
Yes.
How did you guys advise? Oh wow, with the loafers up on the desk, is crazy.
The level of detail here in the shtick is remarkable.
Here, we'll fire back.
Someone else, it's a shtick. To us, it's a lifestyle.
Yes.
On a more serious note, what's the advice to clients on how to approach Halloween? Is it just ignore? It's a distraction.
Nope. It is, as with every other day, a chance to only lock in more.
We actually, we printed out some examples.
Yes, take us through it, please. What else you got
John,
for us?
you want to tell them about this one?
You're disappearing. What is
go.
this? This is Halloween. The Halloween starter kit. I've seen this, but what is in the image?
Okay, so this is Spirit Halloween, the Brian Armstrong set. It includes one great
for the whole head, right?
Oh, perfect. Yes.
full head. Everything below the head is strictly
Wait,
optional.
why didn't we consider that? We were in makeup for 3 hours this morning. We could have just shaved our head with a razor in the morning.
That would have been so much easier.
Would have done 90% of the work for us, really.
And I could have just grown a beard.
Yes. What other ideas do we have here? Let's see.
So we've got. Oh, here's one that John and I like.
Printed posts. The level of detail here is amazing.
This is insane.
Continue. We might have to lose the virtual background, by the way. We're like, it's really cutting in and out.
Oh,
but what is this?
Oh, I can see it. What is this?
It's the stressed out guy smoking.
I hate gay Halloween. What do you mean? You're stressed out, Hayao Miyazaki. Look at this. This is a fine piece.
That would be a fantastic costume. Oh, someone did it, and that's what that post is.
Someone's real costume. Oh, no.
That makes sense. Yeah, you see you're kind of tripping in and out. It is a wild.
And then here, we thought this was very disrespectful of you in particular, Marc.
Oh,
we
yes.
would never we see this person, we will admonish them on the spot.
We're looking for them.
We did like this comment from the random recruiter. This is my sleep paralysis demon.
I do look like a sleep paralysis demon.
That's hilarious.
I look a little bit scary. I don't know if I'm doing Marc justice.
Yeah, it's a remarkable effort.
We did have a
who do you think won?
That we did like.
Do I look more like Ilya than he looks like Marc? Who wins the costume contest today?
I think it's the Ilya thing.
You think so?
I think so. I was getting freaked out before the show. We had like 5 minutes after the costumes finish, and watching a 6'8" jacked Ilya just like come around the corner is scary.
It is a wild experience. Yeah,
it's easier to climb the mountain when you're 6'8".
Yeah, it's all in the eyebrows. The eyebrows are really everything, because as they were working on getting the makeup on, I was like, "There's no way this is gonna work. Like, this is gonna look like Party City level. Like, it's fun that we did this, but this is not gonna look convincing at all." And it's definitely a crazy look.
Your post, Lulu. This isn't reposting John's post. This isn't AI. This is human craftsmanship. But it's actually crazy. So, like, the crew that typically works on, like, normal film productions, they did, was it like 50 different layers of stuff that they were putting on our heads?
It was one of the most
they're painting, they're doing, they did like a base layer, they did the head, they painted over our eyebrows, they glued, things over the eyebrows, and they put another set of eyebrows on, then they painted over that.
There's a lot of eyebrows.
Crazy. It's going to take like probably an hour to just get all of this off.
So they said 45 minutes.
Okay.
I don't know why you'd want to take it off.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you think, obviously we're in a unique position because we get to kind of have some fun on the show. It's like almost a comedy show in many ways. Do you think there's any hope to bring back April Fool's Day in a cool way? Or will tech just like flop on that immediately?
It's hard to do. Someone told me a couple of years ago on April Fool's Day that actually doing it on April Fool's is the cringy part.
Ew, interesting.
You're surrounded by so many people doing it badly that it's really hard to get away from that. And they were saying, if you think of a great prank or jape or joke,
just do it randomly.
Why wait till April 1st when everybody knows?
Yeah, so there was a company the YC company that pissed a bunch of people off because they created an IDE that has like brain rot in the software, so you can do like gambling on stake, you can do Subway Surfers, and like they because it's on the YC website. I feel like they're putting like you can gamble while you code. They pissed a lot of people off. And I think if they had just dropped it as like a feature that was like a real feature that you could play around with, but wasn't like their entire brand, it would have hit a lot harder and been and gotten a much more like funny, positive reaction versus people just being like, "I hate this," blah blah blah. Like, why does this?
Yeah, it's almost like taking the joke like too seriously. When you haven't established your brand at all, then people you're making people do so much work. I guess that's the benefit of doing something on April 1st is that there's a lot less work to be like, is this a joke? You can just kind of you can kind of lean on the audience needs to like. Like you don't wind up in the situation where you have to explain to like 10,000 people like we're kidding. Like people kind of put it together themselves and be like, okay, I'm good.
Are drops dead as a meta? Do you think? Like it feels like launch videos and drops are both kind of over.
So I don't think that drops are dead. I think that specific style of drop with the like launch video has been is completely saturated and overdone.
Yeah.
I think you just have to feel like people are not going to stop announcing things and stop dropping things. You just have to find new ways to do it.
Well, I meant drop in the context of like we made this product with our branding on it, kind of thing.
I thought Base did a really good job. Did you see Base's drop for their $1 billion round? It was a newspaper. And I thought that was like well executed in the sense that like it had a lot of text, it had a lot of content there. Yeah, Tyler has it there. Join the charge. And I just thought like, yeah, it's like it's not just like a T-shirt. It's like way deeper. And I'd say the same thing for the launch videos. It's like we found a very unique aesthetic yesterday. I'm not going to share it because I think it would be a good launch video. But there are specific formats where it's immediately identifiable as like, oh, that's that type of video. And if you use that as your launch video, you'll break through and you'll be the first person to take, right now it's like the default meta is basically like, after Game of Thrones, stick around for the interview with the actors. Like that's the aesthetic of most launch videos right now. It's like cinematic, couple minutes, interview with a few people, kind of like mini documentary.
They said we couldn't build enterprises for this category. They said it was impossible.
Yeah, that did get a little commoditized. But yeah, fresh ideas.
I said at one point that somebody should do a version of it of those sorority dance videos.
That's a great one. That's a great idea.
That's a great one. If you have someone who can do flips, or if you just like all wear a matching outfit, like it has to be a company. If you're like solving cancer, curing cancer, that's probably not right. But as long as the joke is not too close to home. The problem with being a slop adjacent company that jokes about slop is now it's so obvious that is very close to what you're doing, and now you have to defend yourself.
Yep.
Like what was that car company that was going to do that rebrand a couple years ago?
Jaguar.
Jaguar
was really bad too. Yeah.
But there was another?
There was another one where they joked about a rebrand. I don't even know if it was a joke. They claimed it was a joke because people hated it.
What? I don't remember this at all.
Claiming after getting a reaction that people don't like something and then saying it was a joke is not an effective strategy. I've seen that a little bit. The Substrate launch was crazy. That was kind of like a Lulu and Gaby masterclass special.
Well, James
we'll let them know. Yeah.
We'll let Lulu and Gaby know. They'll feel really good about it. James Proud is in heavy founder mode, by the way. He did a lot of the writing and outreach and a lot of that themselves, which obviously we think is the right way to do this. Like the founder can't just sit it out and deploy to do it all for them. But yeah, Substrate, very cool company. Absolute, what do we call it? Absolute dog.
There we go.
An absolute dog. Yeah. That's the word.
That's what we love to use.
He's an absolute dog.
Straight from Pat McAfee.
All right, guys.
Great. Well, have a great rest of your day. Yeah, get back to the gym.
Before we go, we should talk about Ramp.
Oh, please. What you got for us?
We almost had a whole conversation. Before we go to the gym, let me tell you about ramp.com. Time is money. Save both with corporate cards, bill pay in more. The average company saves 5% with.
There we go. Flawless ad read.
Incredible.
10 out of 10.
We'll have you guys. Do a proper guest hosting session.
Guest hosting would be fantastic. You're clearly well prepped.
If we ever, some morning where we're like, we 2 hours in the gym, not enough today.
Yeah,
we'll call you guys up and you can fill in. But
we're ready.
Looking sharp. Are you? Hopefully, you guys have some other costumes for later this evening, trick or treating. But if not, tell them to go to TBPN.com. All the kids you run into and tell them to
send all the children to TBPN.com and
hand out the APs.
Capital.
Gaby's going to hand out APs, everyone. So
you got to get over there.
Got to get over there. Great to see you guys.
Talk to you soon.
Love you both. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
We have to do a real ad read for numeralhq.com. Sales tax on autopilot. Spend less than 5 minutes per month on sales tax compliance. We have Dean Ball coming on the show next. I don't know if he knows that we're dressed up as Marc and Ilya. Tyler, do you know Ball?
Of course I know Ball.
You can't keep getting away with it.
This is one of the jokes that keeps getting funnier. Dean Ball is a senior fellow at FAI, author of Hyperdimensional, former senior policy advisor for AI at the White House and strategic advisor at the NSF, previously at the Mercatus Center. Do you know the Mercatus Center?
Of course.
Why do you know the Mercatus Center?
Tyler Cowen.
Of course. The absolute GOAT himself. He's been at Stanford Hoover Institution, the Manhattan Institute, focuses on AI, emerging technology. He's in the Restream waiting room. Dean Ball, welcome to TBPN. How are you doing, Dean? Good to meet you.
Welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Sorry to jump scare you on Halloween. We're having a lot of fun over here.
I love it.
It's crazy. You look exactly like Dean Ball. Your costume is flawless,
almost to a T.
It's
almost
amazing.
To a T. You had
Were you in 6 hours of makeup this morning? Make me look like Dean Ball.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I said. Make me look like the former White House policy advisor.
Yes. They
that
nailed
actually
it.
would be potentially the most like scary costume is getting prosthetic makeup to look like yourself.
Oh my God.
That might be.
It's a very jarring, very bizarre experience looking in the mirror and actually seeing, like, for the first time in my life, seeing something that looks materially different from the way I look.
And I will say I did ask John. I was like, is Dean ready to do a somewhat serious interview with us and extremely unserious characters? And we talked and we thought it'd be a really fun conversation, even though we look absolutely ridiculous. But it's great to have you on the show finally.
Yeah, great to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
Featured a bunch of your writing on the show over the last year. So very happy to have you on.
Well, thank you guys very much. It's great to be here.
Let's kick it off with sort of what's top of mind for you. There's a lot of different policy positions that I'm sure you could be working on. FAI is a pretty big organization. It feels very, very significant to me, especially right now in this moment, but also just feels like the organization generally has been on a massive upswing. What has been the key focus this year for you? And then let's just kind of like continue to dial in the aperture and go deeper and deeper as we go.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, started the year, I was still a kind of policy scholar and writing at think tanks, including at FAI. Yeah. Worked on state policy, all the crazy bills that were coming out at that time for AI regulation. And then in April, moved to the White House. And so I wasn't writing anymore. My focus was really entirely on the AI action plan, which the Trump administration released in July of this year. Then a couple weeks after that, once the action plan seemed like it was in a good place and well accepted within the sort of bureaucracy of the federal government, I thought it would take longer to get it rolling downhill, but it really didn't take that long. So once I felt like it was in a good place, I retired from that role and went back to the private sector where I feel like that's my strength, writing, communicating, things like that.
What do you think is a bigger force in AI regulation right now? Constituents who just don't like AI. I'm worried about it taking my job. I don't like the way it looks. It's slop. It's bad. It's brain rot, whatever. Like anti-AI for just genuine, direct, I don't like it reasons versus jockeying between labs of like, if I can get this law through, I will have an edge over you. And we're kind of doing jujitsu between both people who are actually both pro AI, but just trying to get a business edge. Is there one camp that you think is like more powerful?
I think for the most part, it's the first thing you mentioned. Okay. I think it's that there's generally kind of a negative AI sentiment among the public. Yeah. It's not that high salience of an issue. So people will say, I want AI regulation. But then when you ask them how important of an issue is that to you, it's like 8, 9, 10. Immigration, economy is much higher. Sure. And like once you get down to 8, 9, 10, it means it's not really an issue that many voters are actually making their decisions at the ballot box on. And so there's this general motivation that a lot of politicians feel of, oh, well, we let the internet get away from us. We let social media get away from us. We can't let the same thing happen again. And so we have to be preemptive and regulate this time. That's basically their attitude.
Then why is California trying to kneecap AI? Like, is it just a bigger issue within California? What are the dynamics in California specifically?
So California views themselves much like the Europeans do. They view themselves, first of all, the one big difference is that California is also an exporter of technology, but the people in Sacramento are not. San Francisco is the exporter of technology. Sacramento views itself really as a nationwide regulator. So their mentality is the federal government's not going to act, especially President Trump. They would say President Trump was irresponsible. So we have to act for him. And, one thing that a senior European diplomat told me when I was in government is when we want to talk policy in America, we fly from Brussels right over DC to Sacramento.
Interesting.
So they're coordinating, the European Union has a coordinating office in San Francisco where they meet with legislators and, companies. And it's basically like this sort of transnational governance regulation happening between California and Brussels.
Interesting. And so, like, is it correct to frame the idea of the motivations of Californian regulation as, well, nationally, AI regulation might be 8 or 9, but in California, it's much higher because there's more visibility? Or is there something else that's driving, like, the California regulation movement?
I'm not sure it's a higher salience issue for the voters in California, but I think it's a higher salience issue for the legislators because the legislators smell power, right?
Sure.
I mean, you can regulate this, what I think will be a multi-trillion-dollar industry while it's still nascent. Before, one of the things about regulating now is, like, if you tried to regulate the iPhone now in a major way, well, like 150 million Americans or whatever use iPhones. And so they'd be like mad at you. But like AI is still a little bit nascent and there's all kinds of use cases that might just be killed in the cradle. And you can control it, much easier when it's a younger technology. And you can control it if you're California. You can control it for the entire country, more or less unilaterally, and it's a Democratic supermajority state. Yeah. So they have all the cards.
So if it's a low salience issue, is there a world where this is all about, like, leverage to generate more taxes, to create a more balanced budget? Like, what are the different incentives that are working within the California political, like, jockeying that's going on?
I think certainly regulatory power is one of them, but I don't really think they're after money particularly. Yeah. If you're a California legislator, the basic reality is that money kind of just prints itself. Yeah. They're basically a post-scarcity, like, petrostate.
Because of technology.
But the petrodollars are not oil. Instead, it is capital gains taxation.
Yep.
I was once talking to a California legislator who was on the budget committee, and they get these, like, every other week or whatever, they get these, like, reports from the state treasury about the state's fiscal position. This was a couple of years ago, sort of right post-COVID. Yeah. And they were like, we had a $10 billion surplus in the last, like, month. And they were like, where did $10 billion come out of nowhere? And it was the Snap IPO.
Yeah, wow.
It's just one IPO generates that kind of revenue for the state. Wow. It's going to be like that on steroids when the Frontier Lab employees start to have their liquidity events. The state is going to have an enormous windfall of capital gains tax.
I mean, yeah, there was a rumor just earlier this week about OpenAI going out at $1 trillion, which would be
and already the employee pool of the public, the PBC is worth roughly at current marks like $130 billion. So multiple on that, it's going to be substantial. Yeah. How does this power struggle between Sacramento and DC around regulation play out going forward? I think people like Sachs have been, not only talking about what Anthropic is doing, but I imagine doesn't want AI to be regulated, at a state level. But how do you see this playing out over the next, call it 6 months?
Yeah, I don't think anyone wants to see AI regulated at the state level except for the California legislators. And so, at the end of the day, I think that President Trump and AI czar Sachs have made their position clear that we want a nationwide legal framework to govern AI. The question is going to be, can Congress act? Can Congress get together and come up with something that sort of everyone can agree to? And I think we don't know the answer to that yet. Yeah. I think, it's hard to see where the politics will go. AI politics evolve. They don't evolve quite as fast as AI, but they evolve quite quickly. And so we could be in there could be a total vibe shift between now and, say, June. June's probably your cutoff before the midterms to sort of get something serious done. Yeah. Can it happen? In principle, sure, but we'll see.
What are the regulatory frameworks that either you think will actually land on or California is advocating for? I just remember we were watching the Ilya Sutskever interview with The Guardian a couple of years ago, and the point he was making was, like, in the long term, AGI might see humans like we see animals and just convert the entire Earth like, all the land into solar panels and, it's sort of like a complete AGI doom scenario. That doesn't seem like the focus of regulators today. He also was mentioning the risk of fake news and the idea of generative content potentially muddying the waters of understanding what's real on the internet. That one feels like it's totally here today, but has also kind of always been here because of Photoshop.
Such an interesting, tech. Correct me if I'm wrong, but tech has never gone through like a tech lash where there's so much video footage of the key players talking about the doom states of technology. So if you look back, go look at interview footage of Sam Altman and all these people, and they will say like, yes, there's, or Ilya, the one you're referencing, like it's very possible the world will be covered with solar panels and data centers. Yeah. And we were playing that video this morning while we were getting this crazy, costumes on, and like the people that were doing it were like, that sounds horrible. Like they listened to the whole thing and they were like, I don't want any of that. And so it's not like during social media there wasn't footage of Mark Zuckerberg being like, it's very possible that in the future
that the election could be stolen.
Social media won't be social.
Like the Facebook data could be used to target voters or something like that.
And so that's just like incredible ammo that I imagine in Sacramento they're pulling up, and it's like, okay, you want to go with what this guy wants and not what our...
What's the dynamic there? Are they actually pulling up doomer
it's hard
clips?
to be like, oh, I didn't mean that. It was just kind of a sci-fi thing that we're talking about.
It helped with fundraising, actually.
It really depends. So there's people in the California legislature and elsewhere that have sort of very mundane concerns. And that's like sort of your modal policymaker, I would say. That's kind of, your misinformation, your deep fakes, the things not that they're not serious, but that are here today. Mm-hmm. And then there's the people that are thinking about these sort of very far-flung doom scenarios. There's not that many legislators who do that, but there are a lot of people in like quote unquote AI policy who think about that. And so they do influence some of the legislation. One of the funny things though, is that thus far, the legislation that camp, the sort of AI safety camp, has been able to get through has actually been like somewhat more measured than some of the crazier stuff that we've seen from the people that don't know anything about the technology and just kind of have a generally hostile attitude. Like state of Illinois banned mental health chatbots, which is basically like, if I ask ChatGPT, if I say like, hey, I'm having a bad day, can you like tell me something to make me feel better? In Illinois, that's like a chatbot engaging in mental health services, and it's illegal.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's like it's really crazy. Yeah, that's not like a doomer bill,
No, totally.
That's
what
like
about
people
and then
with
Nashville's been going on their own path with because of how big the music industry is there.
Yeah, can you get us up to speed on that, like the regulation of AI music? We were talking about Suno earlier this week. I think we're going to have the founder on, but would be very interested to hear the how that landscape differs from other regulatory pushes.
Yeah, so you're talking about something called the Elvis Act, which passed last year. It's basically that's a bill that's about like name, image, likeness. Basically saying if you're a celebrity residing in the state of Tennessee, you can't, if someone makes an AI model that, mimics your style, or mimics a song of yours or your likeness or something like that, then you have a right to sue them, not for copyright, because copyright is a federal issue, but name, image, likeness is a sort of property right that's like done at the state level. Okay. Yeah, that's a creature of state law for the most part. Yeah. So that's what they control there. Yeah.
And is there any early read on where that will pencil out? We were talking to, I forget who we were talking to. We were talking to somebody about how that is, it was Zach Kukoff. He was talking about how the Elvis Act plays into national geopolitics, and some players who are on the national stage are wanting to win at
pretty
the more
smart,
local.
Pretty smart naming. The Elvis Act sounds like something that anybody would want to pass. Sounds cool.
You don't think it would? You don't think it would go farther if it was the Gunna Act?
What's going on? You had a post. It was last week calling out. There's a group. Max Tegmark said a stunningly broad coalition has come out against Skynet, AI researchers, faith leaders, business pioneers, policy makers, NatSec folks, and actors stand together. And they say, we call for a prohibition on the development of superintelligence not lifted before there is one, broad scientific consensus that will be done safely and controllably, and two, strong public buy-in. It's kind of a crazy thing to try to require from my view, because even the scientific community cannot agree on much, and everybody has these like wildly different, strategies and incentives. And then of course it's very possible that the public will never, to rely on the public of how we should develop technology that has to do with national security and try to make it like a direct democracy. But maybe unpack what the latest is on that front.
Yeah. So, I mean, the statement is very simple. It says no superintelligence until we have agreement that it's good, until there's broad public buy-in. So I think the first problem with this is, like, look, if you want to have a letter signed by a bunch of important people or celebrities and whatnot that says superintelligence is something that has profound implications and we should really think about it and we should have groups of, civil society type of stuff, that's fine with me. There have been letters like that in the past and I haven't complained about them. But when you say ban, you're making an ask about public policy. And not only that, you're actually making an ask about global public policy, because, the superintelligence could be trained in China, could be trained in the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia. A lot of other places are amassing large amounts of compute. It's not like we're the only people that can do this. And a lot of the researchers, who do this work are highly mobile. So you need a global treaty to ban superintelligence. That's what they're asking for. And the problem is that not only is there not scientific consensus about the safety of such a thing, more importantly, there's not scientific consensus about what superintelligence is. If GPT-5, or let's say GPT-7, say that it can make novel advancements in mathematics, it can come up with new theorems and whatnot, come up with new science, but say it also can't autonomously plan a wedding for me. I think that's a very plausible future, by the way. I think that's super possible that we'll get advanced, genius mathematic AI before we get sort of an agent that can plan a wedding for you over 6 months.
Truly agentic AI.
Yeah. And so which one of those is super intelligence, right?
No.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
to take an even more extreme example, we were reflecting on the original OpenAI definition, which Ilya was reflecting on, which is AI. You should be able to tell it to do a job, and it should be able to do that any job at the level of a human. And we were sitting for 3 hours getting makeup done, and we were like, okay, to replace this job with AI, you need the most flawless humanoid robots, because this is not a digital task. You need dexterity, but also understanding the artistry of how the colors blend and mixing the different chemicals and stuff. And that's for it's just makeup. It's not as complicated as the IMO gold medal, and yet because it exists in this cross-domain world, it's somehow more challenging. So it's just a fascinating thing that we do. Yeah, we truly do not have a
dynamic that's interesting
definition.
Right now is I feel like the industry is somewhat going through a small period of disillusionment when the big labs are or OpenAI doing Sora and announcing erotica and stuff like that, and realizing I thought we were building super intelligence. Why are we creating more forms of social media? But that's at the same time that you have peak sort of fear and peak pressure to make moves from a regulatory standpoint, because people are afraid of runaway super intelligence and losing their job and all these things. And also big tech companies have been doing layoffs, and the CEOs want to say well, we did these as a CEO, you want to say well, we're getting so much efficiency out of our AI, of course we're doing layoffs. But in reality, it's they just they've been bloated for a while. There's X is a good case study of you can cut a lot of people and still have a functioning business. And so I don't know, there's just such a complicated moment.
Do you think there's a massive techlash coming?
Yeah, probably. Would be my guess. I don't know exactly what'll cause it. Maybe it'll be fears about labor market, which could be real, could be not, could be caused by AI, could be not. Could also be electricity prices. I think that's very possible.
The electricity prices thing?
Yeah. So again, the superintelligence ban, it's doing populist politics that are based on kind of vague emotional sentiment. Yeah. And that's the problem with that is that those kinds of broad statements that implicate policy tend to not lead to good places. Defund the police was one of them. Net zero by 2030 was another one, where it's like, we have no real plan for how to do this, but we're going to articulate some broad goal that sounds good, that everyone can kind of, you can just slide down the incentive curve of politics. And it will not lead to good places. I basically guarantee you.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense.
Even if you're worried about AI safety.
If you're to rank the reasons we like, if we rank like AI safety as like the 8th or 9th most salient political topic, and then within AI you rank the most salient worries, job losses, energy prices, those are at the top. How far down do you have to go until people start caring about dead internet theory? And like the slopification, because it does feel like it's aesthetically like risky, because if you launch a model early, it's sloppier, it doesn't have great aesthetics, and then you're faced with the question of like, so my electricity prices went up and I got slop, as opposed to my internet prices went up and I actually got like a kind of super powered Google search. Like, it's actually pretty great. Like, it's definitely helping me at work.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. I think there's a lot of people who say like, deterioration of the internet is definitely happening. Yeah. And I think that's true, right? Yeah. I mean, I think it's the current experience of the internet has gotten worse, I would say. And I mean, with the exception of the AI models themselves, which are great. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's like probably true. I think it's up there. I think it's way above like catastrophic risk, like I think if you were to put like autonomous cyber attacks, bioweapon development, I think that's probably lower than this sort of slop stuff. I would guess. Yeah. It's interesting to see. I don't know if anyone's ever done that, but it'd be interesting to see.
So we were reflecting on this this week. We had Christina from Vanta on talking about security. And then we also had the CEO of CrowdStrike on, and we were kind of blown away reflecting on, we've been in the AI boom for 2 years at least, and we haven't really had a moment where we're like, oh yeah, that major that outage, that cybersecurity incident, that problem, that hack, that virus, that's generative AI uniquely. That hasn't happened. Like, AWS went down last week and it was just misconfigured DNS on a database. There's been a bunch of crazy cyber attack stories. None of them have been, related to Gen AI just yet. I still think it has to be coming at some point. But until you get that solid anecdote, it feels very hard to go and run the campaign of like, never again will we allow this to happen, when it hasn't happened for the first time.
That's how it always goes with tail risks. Yeah. People can't really internalize them until they actually happen, and then there you go. Yeah. I actually wouldn't shock me if we see something like that in the next 6 to 18 months, because the models are now getting good enough that kind of thing seems possible.
Cyber or biological?
Cyber. Bio is going to take a little bit longer, but cyber. Maybe even cyber might take, or bio might take much longer, because like actually making a bioweapon is still hard in the physical world, but cyber is purely digital. There's already many skilled cyber attackers, so it feels like plausible. Luckily, cyber defense is keeping up right now. We've seen a lot of advancements there too.
Yeah. There are definitely like script kiddies that go around and just like to unplug different pieces of the internet for fun. And it's almost like, it can be state actors, but it just feels like low stakes. It doesn't feel like often like these like little cyber attacks are like life and death. So they feel lower stakes. They feel more like theft and like economic crimes almost. But being like, I'm going to go release a bubonic plague, like that feels like way more like act of war or like mass murder. Like it takes you from like script kiddie who wants to like, deface a website with a DDoS attack to like, okay, you're doing a mass shooting now.
You posted
it's interesting how.
Let's get a response to that. Yeah.
Oh, I just think it's interesting how like these cyber risks, though, like we think of them as like, it's not an act of war, it's just an economic crime because it's like purely digital. Yeah. At the same time, like if North Korea had a bunch of people that were like going into hospitals every other week and like stealing medical equipment or like taking people's patient records, we'd be like, we're going to kill you. Like, we're gonna destroy your country if you do that to us. So it's weird. It's interesting how people think about these things and sort of compartmentalize them.
Yeah, makes sense.
You posted a couple days ago, my sense is that selling Blackwell chips to China would quite possibly be the most unpopular tech policy move of the Trump admin, especially on Capitol Hill. It's plausible that the long-term, really even near-term result will be much more compute regulation. Any updated thoughts on that front? Blackwell's didn't, I guess, come into the negotiation in South Korea, but are you still expecting them to be a part of some sort of deal?
I think it could very well happen eventually. And by the way, the wisdom of doing it changes over time, right? Because the chips get worse the chips, there's new chips come in and they get much better. And so, like the idea of selling Blackwells to China in 2 years is very different from the idea of selling them today. I think part of the reason that it seemed like many people in the Trump administration, were opposed to this move was that we're racking Blackwells in American data centers right now. Yeah. Right. Like it was different with the Hopper because the Hopper was a previous generation. So the H20, maybe the pill went down a little bit easier. But I think with this, it's like, I think that, you have to, I think it's on the merits and politically, you got to wait. You got to wait.
Yeah. What did you think about basically giving American companies a ROFR on the Blackwell? Is that something that you think makes sense?
You mean like this is like
basically if every American company says
if NVIDIA says
we got enough.
If NVIDIA says there's no more American companies that want to buy from us, well then you can go sell some to China. That feels so much more reasonable.
There's a bill in Congress right now in the NDAA, the end of year defense bill called the GAIN AI Act that basically tries to do this. I think it's an interesting idea. I think the problem always is like, how exactly do you operationalize that? Particularly because there's things, in this that are like, well, the public, the hyperscalers are going to have to disclose things kind of to the public about that sort of sensitive proprietary information. So like, how exactly do you do that? I personally have not been super in the weeds on GAIN, but I think the implementation is a challenge there. And that's kind of what I was saying though, is like, so many people in Congress are opposed to the idea of selling Blackwells to China right now that I think if the admin had done it in Korea this past week, I think there's a very high chance that you would have seen maybe some legislation with unintended consequences pass.
What about the idea of you don't sell the Blackwells, but you do allow Chinese companies to purchase cloud computing resources from American hyperscalers? Is that more palatable? Yeah. Who gets upset in that world?
Well, that's the status quo right now.
Sure.
That's basically what happens right now. And so
but could DeepSeek or Highflyer actually go to AWS and say we want to do $1 billion training run?
They could, yeah. Wow. There's nothing restricting them from that. Now, I think DeepSeek kind of rolls their own. I think they build their own data centers and do everything themselves. But Chinese companies definitely do make use of American compute. Now, that being said, I think the Chinese government doesn't like that. I think the Chinese government does all kinds of things to disincentivize them from that. So it's a complicated thing.
That makes a lot of sense.
What's your approach to truth seeking? One of the challenges in trying to even conceptualize what the right policy approach is on a number of these issues is that everyone is just heavily conflicted. Like there's just so much money sloshing around. It's like the people that have the most knowledge of what's happening at the frontier quite possibly have somewhere between 10 and $1 billion kind of like riding on a certain approach. And so I'm curious to know like kind of how you try to clock like the truth.
I always try to start from technical fundamentals. So when I decided to get into writing about AI policy, one of the first things that I learned to do was like train a toy neural network for myself, just so I could see how things worked. Right. And I like to really understand the sort of roots of the technology that I'm talking about, whether that's the physical world or the digital world. And that helps a lot. That helps ground you quite a bit to understand those sort of actual constraints and where the technology might actually go. And then beyond that, it's listening to a lot of different people. It's understanding financial incentives closely, right? You have to understand how everyone is incentivized. Yeah. And you kind of know, like, there are a lot of areas where incentives are for you to sort of spin reality in a certain way. There's also a lot of other people who have incentives to just basically tell the truth. And you have to just be able to differentiate between those things. And so, it's basically just, there's no simple way. It's just read a ton of stuff, listen to a lot of people, maintain an open mind, and be humble all the time.
Yeah, that makes sense. How are you forecasting next year? What do you think the most important issues? Is it more of the same? is there going to be a new conversation that you kind of see on the horizon? Basically, like, is the debate around chip sales just going to continue throughout the entire admin, or do you think it'll at any point settle?
I think that debate will continue. And then I think, more broadly, though, my guess is that issue becomes less salient in AI policy over time. And probably more people join the debate. Right now, AI policy is very much an elite conversation. It's not something that a lot of people, like the average American, so to speak, is thinking about that much. But I think that starts to change. Again, maybe it's the electricity prices, maybe it's the jobs, maybe it's a little bit of both. Maybe it's also some crisis that happens, like cyber stuff. But I think that, like, in general, the salience will go up. And it will also be quite complicated because I also expect that in 2026, just like this year, a very meaningful fraction of GDP growth will be coming from AI. So, policymakers are going to find themselves, I think, in a bind.
Oh, yeah. Wait, sorry. I know we're wrapping up, but I'd love to know your thoughts on, like, the AI as the only driver of GDP meme. How real do you think that is? How bad do you think that is?
Yeah, it's interesting. Some people hear that and they're like, this is bad. And then the other take is like, if we're not doing this, like, it's even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it is a big chunk of it. I think it's probably at least like 25 to 50% of growth right now. Another big chunk, like the Q2 number was really high. It was like 4%. And a chunk of that is definitely companies stockpiling in anticipation of tariffs. Mm-hmm. So they're like mass importing stuff, which is going to be counted toward GDP. Yeah. It's like there's some of that going on probably. But yeah, I mean, I think that it's almost certainly the case that GDP, if I had to guess, I would guess it's something like 40%. AI is something like 40%.
Truly
and of course,
up the world economy.
Yeah, and that's just enabling AI. That's just AI CapEx. That's not even, what is AI enabling?
Like business services and accelerated revenue growth and
productivity.
How much of Google's revenue should be counted in like AI GDP now, or like Instagram Reels? Like if there's an AI slop video that goes viral and that generates 20 million in AI ad revenue, are we counting that in GDP? We have no idea yet. It's going to be years before we understand it.
Last question that I'd be curious to get your read on is sentiment around we're a couple months out from the Intel deal. How is Washington and like Capitol Hill feeling about that deal? Obviously, it looks good on paper for the taxpayer, but do you expect to see like more of this kind of thing? We've saw it with MP Materials as well. Yeah. But what's your read?
I think you'll absolutely see more of it. More equity positions. I'm long USG equity positions in private companies, for better and for worse. I think that will continue to be a thing. We've seen it throughout the critical minerals supply chain. In fact, a lot of other companies, not just MP.
Intel, how new is this? Is this a Trump thing specifically? Is this a 2020s thing? Are there other examples of Americans doing this?
It's not new under the sun, but it's new in recent history.
Okay.
Particularly for companies that have like sort of consumer brands.
Sure.
But yeah, like it is this sort of national champion model is not something that's it's not. Again, America did it, a lot. There are periods of American history where we did this a lot,
and not in a total crisis, like government Motors, General Motors, the bailout of the banks. Like that is very different than NVIDIA and AMD are doing pretty well. Intel's not exactly going bankrupt. There's a lot of market cap there, but we're still going to come in and do something.
I think Intel's position was really precarious, and you really needed that. I mean. I think you needed not just the injection of capital, which they were going to get either way, but kind of that vote of confidence and kind of that indication to the market that like, hey, this really is like, the U.S. government is serious about this. That says things to OpenAI as they think about developing their ASIC. Says things to Apple. It says things to NVIDIA. It says things to all sorts of people. And you've already seen some of these companies respond in kind with, new orders to Intel or at least partnerships with them of various kinds. So I think you'll see more of that. In terms of Intel itself, I think people in DC are pretty nervous still because Intel's got a serious hill to climb. They've got a promising roadmap and they have to execute on it. And thus far, the execution has been shaky and their track record shouldn't make you confident. Have
you been surprised that we haven't seen an OpenAI Intel deal yet? Sam Altman seems ready to do deals with everyone. Intel feels like it needs a deal. It needs several deals. That feels like a match made in heaven, and yet I haven't seen it yet. What do you think?
I have to think it's gestating.
Yep.
I have to think that probably other companies too.
Yep.
I mean, if they're smart, they will.
Yep. Yeah, totally.
Just as a political matter.
I mean, there's just so many. I've seen so many pundits like Asianometry laid out the thesis that NVIDIA should dual source their CPU for Grace, Grace Hopper, from Intel, make the CPUs there, don't go to TSMC for those, support Intel as a fab and a provider. So fascinating dynamic, and I feel like the Intel story is going to be one of the most interesting.
Any plans to write a book?
You've written a book.
I've been. No, I haven't.
Okay.
No. But I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
We'll see. More to come. Maybe. I'm pondering it. Hard to know what to say.
It feels hard if you're kind of like writing about what's happening to like pick something and like start writing, hundreds of pages when like everything's so in flux that you could write like 6 chapters that then maybe made like that aren't even an important part of the story.
Sure.
Yeah. If I picked up the phone and called an agent today, you'd probably be looking at a publication date of like Q1 2028. Someone just the other day, I was asking like, why the hell are these supply chains so long? For like, why is the timeline so long for books?
Yeah.
And they told me it's because it's a manufacturing business run by humanities majors.
No way.
It's like, yeah,
that's hilarious.
That makes sense.
That's funny. Maybe maybe the answer is Kindle print on demand or something like that. Or
there you go. Yeah.
Kindle digital publishing right next to all the literotica. We can slot in some geopolitical analysis.
The AI slot books.
Yeah. There's I'm sure so many.
Somebody's going to hit you up and be like, I can generate you 10 books by next week.
Where can people find you? Where can people follow you in the meantime until the book drops in 2028? You heard it here first.
You can find me. I've got a Substack at Hyperdimensional and on Twitter at Dean W Ball. Ball like football.
There we go.
Dean,
thank you so much, Dean.
Great
Ball,
to finally have you on.
We'd love
welcome
to have
back
you back
anytime.
Chat all the time. We'll talk to you
Thanks,
soon.
guys. Great to chat.
Cheers.
Have a good one. Bye. Let me tell you about Fin.ai, the #1 AI agent for customer service, #1 in performance benchmarks, #1 in competitive bake-offs, #1 ranking on G2. And breaking news from Sam Altman, GPT-6 will be renamed GPT-6.7. You're welcome. He's doing the 6.7 meme.
But it's a joke?
It's a joke.
Okay.
But wow, that one really did not hit. That was remarkably not.
Oh, it's a joke.
Funny. This got 37,000 likes.
I thought you were going to say it'll just be the ChatGPT 2026.
I would like that. I think that actually would be a better naming scheme. No, he's having fun with the 6.7 meme.
Go through some timeline with Tyler.
Not my shtick. Well, I will first go through ADIO. Customer relationship magic. ADIO is the AI native CRM that builds, scales, and grows your company to the next level. You can get started for free. Let's see. What in the timeline should me and Tyler talk about? What is here? Tesla Roadster. Sam Altman has asked for a refund. He says a story in 3 parts, a tale in 3 acts. Act 1, your Roadster reservation is complete. This was in 2018, long time ago. Tyler was 5 years old. He put down $45,000 as a reservation payment. Then Act 2, Sam Altman emails reservations at Tesla. Hi, I'd like to cancel my reservation. Could you please refund me the $50K? And he's just trying to riz an extra $5K out of Elon. Did you notice this?
Oh, Oh, because it was originally 45.
It was 45K. Now, okay, with interest, with inflation, Sam clearly deserves 50, but it's a wild move to just have 45K on the line and be like, can I get 50? Can we round to the nearest 50? But when you're, Sam, I guess it makes sense. It's probably pretty reasonable. So he says, can you refund me the 50K? I think he's actually just rounding. I think he's like, yeah, send me 45, but I'm going to refer to it as 50 because I'm rounding to the nearest 50K, I guess. But then he gets an address not found. Reservations at Tesla.com is unavailable to receive emails. Recipient has rejected.
He could use the extra 5.
You think so?
I think he could put it to work in the business.
Nobody's
losing more money than OpenAI.
That's
right?
true.
Every 5K can go a long way.
That's true. Yeah, Tesla and SpaceX seem to be doing.
That's 1 minute. That's 1 minute of Sora costs.
That's true.
Every minute counts.
But this just feels like they changed whatever the email is in the last 7 years. But it is remarkable that the project has been in process so long that the email address has been forgotten. And also, I would assume that this type of stuff happens all the time because I imagine that people are canceling and placing new Tesla Roadster orders like all the time. So you would think you'd want to be monitoring that box. It's funny to read into it as like more battles between Elon and Sam, although I don't think that's what's going on here. It's more of just a funny quirk of their email configuration. Bern Hobart says, wow, Elon passes the replies to your email in under a minute test. That guy is going places.
Bullish.
Well, whatever you think about Tesla, you can buy it. You can sell it on public.com. Investing for those who take it seriously. They got multi-asset investing, industry-leading yields, and they're trusted by millions. Jordy Hayes, what would you like to do next?
Let's bring in our next guest.
Aydin Senkut, welcome to the stream.
There he is.
You look fantastic. How are you doing?
Hey, Jordy and John. Happy Halloween.
Wait. What are you drinking? What is next to you?
Wow.
Do you recognize this drink?
Of course I recognize that drink.
Cheers
that
to you.
Is Andrew Huberman's Matayina Yerba Mate. We refer to it as a podcast in a can.
It's hard to drink this on my end. The fake beard is getting into the drink, but it's great to see you. You're looking sharp. Do you wear a suit often? You look very natural in it.
You know what? I used to wear a uniform in high school. Yeah. It's coming back to me, and I'm a huge Formula One fan. So I feel like I'm already wearing, this is the cap you normally get when you're on the podium with kind of the wreath. So
exactly.
I feel very good taste here.
Championship hat.
How'd you actually get into venture?
It's a good story. I was Google's first product manager and then first international sales manager. Wow. Always wanted to start something. Both my parents were entrepreneurs, and I felt it's just kind of the way of the valley. You go from being an operator to being an investor. Yeah. But interestingly, originally I thought, hey, maybe the right way to do it is go get a stint at a venture firm. And the 5 firms that I talked to not only told me I wouldn't make a good VC. They told me I wouldn't even make a VC. I just did not have the wherewithal. So I'm sure many people also told you that your idea would not run.
Yeah, did they have any good reasons? Did you agree with them on anything? Obviously they were wrong, but
it's so funny. I wasn't an engineer. I wasn't senior enough at Google. Sure. I never had done anything in venture. Yeah. Again, maybe on paper it makes sense, but to be honest with you, it's the best thing that happened because I always feel rejection. I call it rocket fuel. And it was such a simple situation where I had to burn the bridges. And the only way to prove the skeptics wrong to actually get into the business and do well. And even after 20 years, I'm like, 10 IPOs is still not enough. 100 exits. I think it should be 200 exits. And maybe then the point will sink in.
Hit that gong.
Oh, yeah.
Great hit. How big was your first fund?
The first fund, actually, I started as a solo LP and solo GP, which was only $4.5 million. And then our first institutional fund in 2010 was only $41 million.
Modest amounts.
Modest amounts.
What story did folks tell at Google about the funding of Google that helped you kind of understand how venture works? Like I've heard this story about, Sequoia invested. That was probably more like a traditional round. There's also this maybe apocryphal story about somebody going to their car and writing a check before the company was even founded. Like, what was your introduction to just
Jeff
like
Bezos taking a flyer?
Yeah. What stories did you draw on where you were like, this worked out for this particular person really well in the Google story that I felt and experienced, and I want to go and recreate that?
I mean, look, I was there like right after the Sequoia Kleiner round. Mm-hmm. First of all, the biggest thing about Google is that what people sometimes misunderstand about this business is all about outliers, positive outliers. And the best training for that is to actually be at an outlier. And I think more than the VC story, to me, it was my experience working for Larry Page, because every single thing that I've done in that first year for Larry, like he would like see it and I'm like, this is kind of 1% of what I'm expecting. Like you need to do things 10x faster, like 10x more. And then it's like, you know what? Maybe humans are not meant to do that. And my joke is like one of my projects was to launch Google in international languages because I wasn't an engineer. I spoke 6 languages. And I'm like, look, you know what I can do for Google is make sure it's launched in non-English languages. And he was frustrated with that. And so I always tell people I'm an occasional and accidental father or grandfather of Google Translate, because they're like, from now on, anything that's internationalization or translation, let's make sure machines do it and not humans.
That makes sense. What was your first true home run in venture?
So the first true home run in venture, you can define it in many different ways. My first $1 billion exit was Meraki, which started as a Wi-Fi project in Mountain View with Google. And I was one of 3 ex-Googlers that invested in it. And the first IPO was Shopify. And that was amazing, like showing up to NICE, not for Google's IPO, but as an investor that, hey, early believer, and the company was great. And what was crazy is like $2.7 billion valuation at IPO for Shopify. And today there are like 150, like another 50x from that. Google was similar, like it went 40x from the IPO. And that like in a nutshell is like positive outliers. And I can't imagine better examples of outliers.
Yeah, that's remarkable.
Completely. What about more recently? You've done Mercor, Supabase, and others. Maybe we start with Mercor. We just had Brendan on earlier this week to talk about the new financing. You guys have been in a couple rounds now. Is that right?
2 rounds. We are huge fans of Brendan and his co-founders. Look, I think it's another great example. When I started, like right after Google, we thought going 0 to 100 million in 10 years was a great achievement, maybe 8 to 10 years. I had companies like Shopify go IPO in 6 years, but Mercor is a new breed of company. They went 0 to 100 million in gross revenues in 11 months. They're essentially have built this great platform where they can essentially find any type of talent or discipline in the world, find the people, have AI interview them, and generate expertise and data based on that. And it's just like, again, like what's so exciting about the AI age is these companies you never thought like would be at this kind of scale are able to deliver these things because it's just that age and that opportunity. We're very lucky to be part of it. We're huge fans of Brandon and team. And then Supabase is another great example. Like we are like, listen, some of the most valuable tech companies were database companies, and somebody's going to build a developer-friendly backend. At that time, there was a front-end company, but no real back-end company. And it was crazy because when we invested in Supabase, we did almost a growth round valuation, and the traction was not even close to $1 million in ARR. And since then, the company has grown 50, 70, 80x plus in just a few years. And that makes me think like what you're doing is really special because the private companies are growing 500 to 1,000%. And public companies are growing at 20%. So it's a 50x delta. So if in case anybody's wondering why it's interesting and exciting to be in venture or to be involved with private companies, the very best are doing an insane job. And I think those are the stories that need to be out there. And that's why I love my job. I feel like it's the best job in the world.
they announced their Series A in October 28th of 2021. I'm assuming you guys did the deal like, some late summer or something like that. At the time, was that a deal that you think maybe other people would have passed on because of the price? Like it just looks crazy. Obviously, was the peak.
So we did the Series B, and it was really interesting. Not only did multiple other VCs pass on price, but they went and then invested in competitors because they could get in at like half the valuation. But we never compromise what we believe is, our belief in the founders and the company. And look, I mean, at the end, this business is all about early belief, and it's all the founders. We get to participate in their journeys, and Superbay is a prime example. They had all the initial signs that things could be really great. Like I said, traction was really low. They were starting to essentially take off among developers, and it was built on Postgres. It was very technical, and people are like, no, nothing could be worth that valuation at that stage with only that much signal. And I think that's kind of the magic of Felicis, is that when we back these incredible founders, the success is far from obvious. But then after we invest, these companies go through these insane hockey stick growth curves, and Superbay is a prime example of that, as is Mercor.
How do you think about what is different about this boom, this moment from previous cycles? The top things that poke out, that have really changed in the last 2 years that justify more investment, that change the job of the venture capitalist are, we're seeing higher growth rates. We're also seeing higher CapEx requirements for some tech companies than before. We're seeing just more potential new markets because you could be going after a labor pool instead of a different, like an existing market. There's entirely net new markets. There's questions about enterprise adoption, churn. Like, what in your mind is different this time around from the mobile wave, the cloud wave, or anything else that informs how you're underwriting deals this year?
Yeah, I mean, look, I have seen the internet wave as well as the mobile wave. There are a couple things that are really different. So one is the point that we were getting at is that venture game at its very basic is essentially it's a growth game. If you find a company that is growing 50x faster than public companies, it's going to end up in a good place. And even if you're off by 10x on price, if you're in one of those companies, things are going to work out for you. Also, interestingly, 20 years ago, when I first got into business, a lot of people would worry about distribution. But the reality is today, everybody's watching YouTube. Everybody has a mobile device. Distribution is no longer a problem. But what is really interesting that is different is the AI age. Normally before with software, first, the budget was limited. I don't think any company is going to spend more than 10% of their budget on software. But also the value creation was different. Software, yes, it is helping you, but still people are working with it. You have to put data in it. And then to get value out of it, you have to look at the results and say, okay, now I'm going to do something based on what the software is telling me. And the software is streamlining it a little bit. In AI age, what's really stunning is you now can have a full closed loop without humans where everything is being done by AI. So the data entry is automatic. The data output is automatic. I sometimes think of a turbo engine in a car. One of the interesting technologies is you take the exhaust gas, and then if you channel it into the engine, the car can accelerate a lot faster. So in some ways, what is happening with AI, there is growth vectors in so many different areas. I had to make an engine example since I'm wearing a Formula One hat. Yes. But first of all, there is so much more value creation, and now you're going after labor, which depending on the sectors you look at is 40, 50, 60, 70% of a company's budget. So the dollars at stake is so much larger. How
much more important is it now to think about terminal market structure? Because I completely agree with you. The growth rates are insane. The risk, I feel like, is not that the growth isn't real. It's just that there's you pick a market, and there's one company that goes from 1 to 10 million in ARR to 100 million in ARR, and you project that out, and you're like, well, the market's 50 billion, they're going to get there really fast. But if the market can support 50 companies that all grow really fast and they all take 2% of the market, then you will see some sort of S curve in the growth rate at some point. And I feel like There's some markets that will probably be perfectly competitive, some that will be highly monopolistic, and everything in between. And it feels like, as a venture capitalist, it's going to pay to be the type of person that can clock how markets play out. Does that map with what you're thinking, what you're trying to do?
Look, I think you're getting at a very important point, which is it is not just enough to have high growth, but you need to have durable growth. And we use the examples of Google, Shopify, even like more recently, we had companies like Canva. And I think one of the things that people sometimes really underestimate is that that kind of high growth compounded will generate stunning results. And one of the things that I learned from both Google and Shopify is that if and when you choose the right markets, you will probably get the sizing wrong. But if you choose a mega market, even like at what we think success, there is still so much of the market left. Like, one of the things that I never realized is even when Shopify went IPO, it was less than 1% of that market. And that's what helped it like get a 40x growth after that. Same thing happened to Google, and the very best companies can also expand the market. So to your question though, one of the things that we really pay attention is what are the moats of these companies is not just that they have the chance of high growth, but how durable will it be? A lot of times it's the founders. A lot of times it's also different elements. For instance, we very frequently talk about data moats at Felicis, right? Like, one of the things that helps you differentiate is if you have data that nobody else has, since data is the new oil, that's going to be a huge differentiator, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of AI tech and that's more pervasive. But if you have data that nobody else has, that's going to be tremendous value. And if you start doing something where you basically become a key part of the process, people are not going to rip you off. So we just recently won a term sheet of a healthcare AI company. And what was interesting is through AI, they've been able to service a part of the patient market that hereto was not possible to be served at a positive return. And the moment they fix that part of the market, hospitals are like, why am I only going to give you 35% of the market? You know what? The rest of the market, there are 19 players, but I'm just going to come straight to you. It's too much work. You guys can take 100% of our referrals. So it's a yet another good example of, if you do a really great job with the hardest part of the market, you can essentially have a much larger portion of the market. Nobody is interested in like somebody who's only going to win 1 to 2%. They want people that can do everything together and not just one part of it. And again, that's kind of also the big leap from software is maybe only solving one part of the problem, and they want like a full solution. I want like a full turnkey, not just like, hey, the software can get you the numbers or analyze things or be the system of record. Now everything is about system of action, and AI can enable that. And if you have a data mode on top of it, obviously that drastically increases the chances that not only are you going to have high growth, but the high growth is going to stick with you.
Did the venture industry learn its lesson in 2021? Things got a little bit crazy. There was a lot of top signals. We had a crash, but at the same time, you did companies like Supabase at what was then a crazy valuation. And then now it looks like, you bought it. It looks like you stole it. Now this time around, it feels like, we were, I remember in 2022, it felt like we were going to go into like a VC apocalypse. It certainly doesn't feel that way now. Do you think we learned any key lessons, or are we going to kind of relearn them in the future?
Let me tell you an interesting lesson, or maybe like a key secret, is that venture business is, you have to be consistent. You cannot sprint and pause. If you're not growing in this business, you're essentially losing, stagnating. There is no such thing as cruise control or like steady state. And I think the mistake that happens with a lot of VCs, if their conviction is not deep and they're essentially playing the market game, there are a lot of followers and not a lot of original thinkers. What happens is the moment the market gets risky and things look dire, people pause and like, oh, you know what? Like, I'm going to stop making investment. And one thing I'm really proud is even in the 2021 vintage and 22, when things were really expensive, we still kept on making investments and we never slowed down. And, we were basically like steady growth. And part of that is because, look, this is not public markets where if there is 20% growth and your entry price is wrong, you're going to lose a lot of money. But if you find the right companies and you do have 50 to 100x growth ahead of you, even if you overpaid for them, you're still going to do well. In fact, the only way you're going to do well is to have these positive outliers that are fund makers. And so I think the biggest lesson is like a lot of VCs like spend too much time of like this valuation high and low and this trend and that. The reality is you got to be a surfer that can surf any wave in any season and not just one. Like you can't just go to the beach and call it quits. You need to go back out. And, you know, I know Jordan lives in Malibu, so he's going to like the surfer analogy. But the part of the other thing also is that you have to find the companies where there is going to be so much growth that even if you got the price slightly wrong, it's not going to slow down. So anybody who's like, oh, like we're going to be in this business and it's all about the price, they're misunderstanding it. It's all about like being early and understanding that incredible growth that's going to follow. That's going to basically give you the long-term success. And so I feel there is definitely a delta between the VCs that are original thinkers that still had the conviction and the courage to make those bets, and not just like Superbase for us, but also companies like Aydin. That was a sleeper company in Berlin, and all of a sudden in fall, like multiple VCs have woke up that they're doing a great job in agentic AI.
Yeah, that's a company, interestingly enough, I saw it on getting, people started making videos about it on Instagram, which I look at as much more mainstream, before I saw anything about it on X, which is, I think, a good sign. It means that it actually has traction outside of our little Silicon Valley bubble.
How do you think
100%.
How do you think about your philosophy on expertise versus like being a generalist?
Yeah,
there's a lot of interesting debate about this.
Expertise on like a category versus like judgment around human.
But take me through like advice for a venture capitalist who's joining your firm, advice for someone who's graduating high school and thinking about how to pursue. Like, what is your philosophy on generalism versus becoming an expert in something?
I mean, look, I think generalism in general, it's a really good thing. But I think, look, there are a couple of really interesting secrets or insights. Number one, just to give you real data to make this point, is that when I started in venture, the other thing that people underestimated is like, they're like, listen, all these sectors you're going to invest in, you're not an expert in any one of them, and you're not going to be able to make a good investment. I think what people misunderstand is if you're an expert in a sector, you're going to look at a company and you're only going to look at the orthodox way of doing things. And when somebody comes in as an outsider and like, I want to do something the way it's never been done before, you're going to say that's never going to work. And so like the paradox here is the expertise, right? Like the experts are supposed to know the field really well, but that also anchors them in the way that things are done traditionally. Versus a generalist is going to be first principles and say, you know what? There's actually a new way of doing things, and if this thing works, it's going to be amazing. And at Felicis, like the most interesting stat that I'm most proud of is that we made early investments in companies, 53 of them that exceeded $1 billion in valuation. Not a single one of them was led by an expert.
It's amazing.
And so like that's the thing. Like when you guys started, you were not media experts or like proven like media people, and you had a great idea.
I would tell you, the funny thing is in our case, like I've been working in and around advertising my entire career. John had been an expert on like content production, but we certainly were not experts on hosting a show. And if you had asked us even literally like 12 months ago, if you had asked us like, would you be hosting, could you ever see yourself hosting like a daily show? We would have been like, like.
I always love that Paul Graham formulation, which is like most co-founders, like if you look at the co-founding teams, it's usually like 2 or 3 people where each of them are somewhat experts in like 2 or 3 disciplines. So you have someone who knows like marketing and finance and operations, and then someone who knows like front end and back end and technical design and architecture, and also some of the trade-offs about how the product design works. And so you wind up with like, you know, some level of expertise in 10 different categories bundled up in 2 to 3 people on a specific team. That seems to work really well. But yes, they're not like pure play experts, which is what we think of, at least what I think of when I think of expertise.
100%. Look, I'm going to add 2 more things,
Please.
Which is I think one of the other elements of being successful, whether you're a founder or investor, especially as a VC, is all about the people. And I've actually done sales at Google, and you would say, how is that related to being a venture? At the end, it's a people's game. The founders are not, taking money based on numbers, but if they can trust who you are. And so like being good with people and being able to relate to them is really important. So these days when people are starting in the business, whether they're a founder or a future VC or emerging VC, I'm like, look, your biggest asset is your network and the people that you know. But the second thing is, especially for venture, you need to be exposed to outliers, right? Like I feel like my training at Google, every single thing that Google has done in the 6 years that I was there, not a single thing was standard. Every single thing we did a completely different way that has been ever done before. And the results were stunning. So if you've never been at a company where the founders and the firm was crazy enough to do things completely differently, and you kind of understand that culture, that mindset, right? Like we did talk about being generalists, but it is also important to have been exposed to some of these things. And then you're like, okay, you know what? Now that I have seen it, it's in my DNA, it's in my blood. I can kind of like see other signs of that. So being good with people, being able to understand outliers, at least being exposed to them, I think are key ingredients, at least in venture. So those are things that nobody ever told me like, hey, this is going to be really important for you. But now after 20 years of doing it, I can tell you that it is very important. And like journalists, like I worked in every discipline across 4 continents. I've done finance, sales, marketing, product. That was also really great. I didn't have to be deep expert in all of these things, but being able to understand so you can like see around the corners and find little things, just enough to make sure that you're not going to make a stupid move, but you don't know too much that you would be too anchored in it and you would be skeptical of a brand new way of doing things.
Well said.
I just can't get over how good your outfit looks and your frame looks.
Yeah, you're ready to co-host with us.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like honestly, like I'm down to that. I love this hat, and I'm enjoying my yerba mate.
Yeah, are you in SF?
We are in Menlo Park. Actually, we do have an SF office.
Okay.
But we are in the Bay Area right now.
Well, hopefully
right
we
in
can
the heart
cross
of Silicon
over
Valley.
soon in person.
Yeah, let's hang out soon. Are you going to be at F1 Vegas?
I'm thinking about it. So my older son is in varsity football. If there is no conflict with his game, I'm definitely going to be there.
Okay, cool. Well, let us know.
Let us know if you are. We'll look quite different, so you can watch some older footage to recognize us over there. Yes. Thank you for hanging out.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun.
And I'm impressed with how that you were able to do a normal interview when we look so ridiculous. But it was really fun chatting with you, and thank you for sharing.
That was a blast. Should I say Marc and Ilya? But very well done. A great impersonation. And Jordi and John, it's such a pleasure. Let's do this again.
The audio team is appreciative as well. You're looking absolutely crisp.
Everyone's a fan. Everyone loves it.
Great stuff. Awesome. Talk to you soon. Have a great rest of your Friday.
Have a good day. Bye.
You too.
How'd you sleep last night, Jordi? I got a 92 on 8Sleep. You can go to 8sleep.com, get a pod 5.
Code TBPN.
I got
a
32 minutes.
Perfect 93.
93? Oh, you beat me by 1.
I smoked
Very
you.
good job. Well,
I smoked you.
Our next guest is in the Restream waiting room. Let's bring him into the TBPN Ultra Dome. Wait,
there he is.
Is that who I think you're? Did you get full prosthetic makeup to look like Jakob Diepenbrock from Felicis Ventures? Is that what's going on here?
That is correct. You guys' costume better though.
Yes, your Jakob costume is flawless. How was demo day? Take us through it. What were the highlights? What are the new trends? What's the actual structure? Maybe start there. What's the structure of demo day these days?
Yeah. So yesterday, 2 p.m. got started. We did it at Long Walls Space here in El Segundo. One of the OG El Segundo companies used to be ABL. Shout out to Dan.
Nice.
Piedmont. Started at 2 p.m. I think we had 160, 70 people come out for it. Had a panel with Augustus, Isaiah, and Ted.
The boys, the Godfathers, the brothers.
It was a good group.
It's a great group.
Founding fathers.
Right after that, everybody was hating on SF, which was all SF investors in the audience.
Why hate on SF?
Oh well, Palmer hates on SF
one thing is when we were there earlier this week, I thought they had like somewhat solved the human feces on the ground thing, and it was like John and I walked home from dinner. Granted, it was about a mile walk. It was like at least 6.
It was through the Tenderloin, which is a rough spot. There are rough spots in LA, but El Segundo is beautiful. At least when I walked around, it's very clean.
And if you're an industrialist, the smokestacks,
that's actually a plus. That's actually a plus. But so how many companies graduate? And it's a proper demo day. Like people are giving pitches, raising money like that.
Yeah, exactly. So we had 9 companies pitch yesterday from all over the country, and a couple from out of the country as well.
Yeah.
We started off with, like I said, panel, 9 pitches. They all kind of go out to their booths afterwards, and then all the investors get to know and get to talk with them and meet them afterwards. And then we had a sick little after party in Manhattan Beach afterwards. So it was great. But I guess companies, I was happy to run through some. I also just posted a thread as well if you want to pull it up.
Yeah. We'll have the team pull it up. But read through and let us know who's top of mind.
So I will say less defense companies this time than ever before. A lot more.
Yeah, I was going to ask, and when we across the different YC batches, like there's very clearly like some core themes and trends that you've seen. So I'm not surprised to see like less. We probably don't need the same volume of defense tech companies now. I think in general, like there's just been so many, like every category.
Oh, you think the job's finished?
I don't think the job's finished, but I think it's like probably healthy for like every category now has a few players.
Yep.
They can now fight it out.
Yep.
1 or 2 will rise to the top.
Yep.
We don't necessarily need 10 more backfilling, trying to go after the same types of contracts.
Yeah, I think my general thought is like, I think defense proved that you can kind of disrupt these legacy industries and build massive companies in these kind of legacy industries that haven't really had venture interest until Andrew and SpaceX. And I think it's now we will do these like hardware. We will do these kind of more I guess less tech, less venture heavy industries. There's a lot of stuff like that unlocked. So within energy, within mining, we did stuff in isotopes.
I always make this point where, Sam D'Amico, SF founder, but he runs Impulse Stove. It's a stove company. And I don't want to, tell his story for him, but it always feels like, obviously that's not a defense tech company. That's not an Anduril competitor, but that's the type of company that maybe doesn't exist unless we make hardware cool and get founders and get VCs piling into the category. But take us through some of the companies from this batch. Who stands out?
Yeah, it's a small enough batch. We're
take us through it all.
I'll go through all of them. So, starting off, we got Petra Power. Shout out to Aaron Goodman.
Okay.
Hopefully you're watching right now. He's doing basically replacing generators. So basically building a new electrochemical process to replace the generator. And there's a massive bottleneck. Generators, obviously energy. The energy shortage is pretty real, especially with the new data centers going up. And he already has received $9 million in DoD contracts, which is pretty crazy.
Sick.
First one. Second one's a pretty fun one. Making shoes in America. Autonomous shoe manufacturing at price in the USA.
That's bold. That's very bold.
That's right there. I'll go through the order.
We're going to make it in America.
Okay.
And there's all these missile drone companies. We're making shoes, guys. We're making shoes in America.
I love it.
3 Hedges. They're one of the few software companies. They're basically building a commodities hedging app for SMBs, specifically oil and gas, to start, because it costs a lot of money to actually have a hedging team.
Yeah.
And they said 97% of distributors just can't afford a full hedging team. So they basically make it, their whole thing is Robinhood. They call it Robinhood for industrial companies.
We've seen a lot of startups do the sort of treasury management, just earn a little bit of yield because maybe you don't have access to an investment bank and a whole treasury team. And so plenty of companies have offered that type of product. It makes sense that you would need something a little bit different in the industrial space. Very cool.
Imagine day trading commodities on your phone.
Probably feels electric.
Also that too. That would be
what is Actinide?
Actinide is pretty cool. So basically what they do is they enrich isotopes, basically. So they started off with one material. So there's 3 materials in the Russian sanctions list. These materials we can import or cannot import. There's 3 materials that are actually removed from that sanctions list, which means you can get as much as you want because we just need them. The highest cost per gram one is a material called terbium. It's used in cancer medication. They basically make this material, and it's a $2 per gram material. They enrich it. It's $36,000 per gram.
Wow.
And then they already have, it's in the tweet as well, they already have some contracts, on the very large contracts they just signed literally in the last week. It was pretty sick. Like Monday morning, demo day was yesterday, Monday morning signed 2 contracts locked in there with some companies that everybody watching knows very, very well.
Yeah, the traction so far is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was great. I think we've definitely seen like over the last couple of batches, like kind of an increase in traction, just because people want to be here in El Segundo. People kind of see the brand we provide, and that's, I think, pretty evident with the companies that have come through.
Tex.pro is Bloomberg for heavy equipment procurement. So that's dealerships. Interesting. So actually figuring out so Bloomberg, you think that means looking across all the different industries, like how you can go on Bloomberg and find someone's auctioning off a private jet, but they're also selling some slug of equity or something like that. So this is a platform to connect buyers and sellers.
It basically just, brings together people who want to buy
very cool
mining equipment, heavy machinery more generally. There's like no central database with all this information. It's just like Boomer X in Texas calls Boomer Y in Arkansas, and then they hopefully make it happen. But there's no like label database of all this equipment. It's basically just like compile it all. Kind of like with like Carfax, for example. Like early on, there was like no data, and like basically they just went out and like called all the dealerships, like, hey, like how much is this worth? How much is this worth?
Is Loris sort of like the V2 of the vertical farming era? It says they turn grocery store rooftops into autonomous farms.
Yeah, so like my take here was like vertical farming obviously been tried.
Yeah,
it didn't really work because it was all like climate, like kind of carbon credit driven a lot of the time, where like the actual unit economics did not make sense with that gone. Basically, they removed like one of the biggest costs, which is real estate, and they basically just put these like blow up farms on grocery stores' roofs, and then it's like a pretty. I mean, the numbers are here. Like they have like they don't pay for the actual unit. They have people that go and license them and bring them out to grocery stores, and then they get like individual profit based off what the grocery stores make, and then the goal is bring the produce profits per grocery store up by 50%.
The produce is then sold directly in the grocery store that it's sitting on? Cool.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Co-location.
And they're already like in stores right now.
That's awesome.
A pretty big contract recently, which is pretty exciting. But I think like generally like this, again, food security is important.
Yeah.
The stuff that was tried last, 10 years ago or so didn't really work because of the unit economics. Like this makes sense. There's also like these general tailwinds of like, we need to make food in America that's like actually healthy.
Cool.
So that's them. Lark, Kai, legend at Skunkworks right out of college.
Yeah.
There's this new MOSA standard basically, which is like open source. Like if you have a component, it has to actually work with every type of system. There's no way to actually test this. They basically have a software that can test the compliance for any component, and then eventually going to build the hardware to test it in a more in-depth fashion, starting with the software.
I like Blitz Panel. That's a good name. Blitz Panel reminds me of Mix Panel. But
it's a pretty simple company.
Yeah,
they make electrical panels for cheaper, and they have a whole automation process he's built out. He was at Pipe Dream Labs in Texas.
Oh yeah,
it's a huge problem, and now he's basically just building the.
Going through all this stuff, it really shows you that there are like a lot of stuff that that fits in thematically that does not feel like it competes with Anduril, for example. But it feels like aligned with the general theme that you've put together of cool, hard problems. There's a little bit of American dynamism, a little bit of military stuff in here. Tell us about the last company, number 9.
Yeah. So Architas Energy.
Architas.
This guy reads old German papers from the 40s in German, and he found this process that basically you can make
German alpha.
What kind year? Of Germans? What kind of German papers is he reading?
You can guess.
That doesn't instill confidence. Tell this guy to clean it up. What is going on?
No, the papers are scientific papers that were
okay. That needs to be clarified.
Good.
That needs to be clarified.
Papers about scientific processes.
Yes. They did have some good scientists in the 40s.
Exactly. And one of these papers in particular goes to this way of making hydrogen for cheaper.
Okay.
And if you make hydrogen cheaper, you can make crude oil for cheap.
Very cool. Well, congratulations on the demo day. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah,
on the
really
show
cool lineup.
and breaking it down.
It's great. I mean, it's cool to see a lot of people focus on energy. I mean, people will criticize accelerators and for having being too on trend.
Totally,
right? But
totally.
It's actually healthy. We want a big group of companies going after a bunch of different problems.
This just doesn't seem like that narrow of a trend. It feels extremely narrow when you introduced it the first time, and it just felt like, it's just defense tech or something. But clearly, it's such a big area that some of these folks, if they're both successful, they're not even going to do business together because they're operating completely different layers of the stack. It's just a fantastic end result and really cool to see the growth here. So congratulations.
Yeah. And I think one last point about the general defense market that I think is interesting is a lot of these big companies like Anduril, like Saronic, the big tier ones have already chosen a winner, and they're not going to back another Anduril competitor. So it's you need to have the stack, the capital stack makes sense. And if it's already every single level of it, been all these funds have already chosen somebody as their winner. It's kind of hard to come in and be back with these funds. So I think there's so many opportunities now to come because again, legacy industries are open for venture. There's a lot of talent flowing in. And that's what we're trying to kind of take advantage of, this new movement. The best talent and capital actually interested in solving these hard, critical national problems.
Thank you so much for coming on the show and breaking it down for us. Congratulations on another successful demo day. We will see you next demo day, and hopefully before that, of course.
Yeah, great to see you, Jacob.
Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon.
Cheers.
Goodbye. Let me tell you about adquick.com. Out-of-home advertising made easy and measurable. Say goodbye to the headaches of out-of-home advertising. Only AdQuick combines technology, out-of-home expertise, and data to enable efficient, seamless ad buying across the globe.
Our next guest is a living legend.
This is amazing.
Shreya, the founder of Partiful. I'm sure she's dressed totally normal. So let's bring her in.
Welcome to the show. How many Halloween parties did you get invited to?
Okay, is this AI?
Yes.
Is this AI?
Hi.
I wish, because it would have been a lot easier to put on.
Did you do this yourself? Or did you have a team?
I did do it myself, which is why I missed a few spots.
Oh, it looks great.
This is incredible. I mean, I feel like Halloween is probably high pressure, on the Partiful team. You guys are facilitating a lot of Halloween events. You kind of have to really show up and do it right. So, congratulations.
This is your Black Friday.
This is our Black Friday. This is our Super Bowl. This is our D-Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for taking some time to talk to us on your Black Friday. Is it actually Black Friday in the sense that the servers will be melting, or is it just it's the best opportunity to capitalize on the value prop that Partiful can deliver?
Yeah, I would actually be curious. What are the biggest holidays or just days, celebrations?
Halloween is by far the biggest.
Really?
No way.
People celebrate Halloween 10 times, right?
Sure.
Everyone can go to multiple Halloween parties and it's very valid. Mm-hmm. You're only going to go to one New Year's Eve party. Mm-hmm. Maybe during the holidays, you're traveling. So who knows if you'll be around, but everyone's here. Everyone's locked in. Everyone knows what the job is. And so usually it's you'll have 6 Halloween parties. And I don't, because like the entire Partiful team, I'm kind of on call today, this weekend. But that's why I'm dressed up right now.
Yeah, I love the idea of you being on call and then there's some serious thing happening in the business. And you're let's hop on Zoom together. And then you dressed up like this.
It's very serious. Yeah,
that's great. It seems like a good company culture.
Yeah. The servers are not melting because our engineers prepped heavily for this, but it is a triple on-call situation.
How has the business been growing? I know that a couple months ago there was Apple's coming after you, and that felt like maybe it was just always going to be
focus on yourself, Apple. Focus on yourself.
But was that even an OSHIT moment, or was it just kind of okay, we didn't really see any blip in the numbers whatsoever, and we've just been on a growth trajectory the entire time?
When it happened, it was definitely are you not allowed to curse on this show?
We don't curse on this show, but you're welcome to. But
okay,
kids do watch.
Our kids watch. So if whatever you say, our kids will repeat to us later. They'd be what did Shreya mean by that?
Yeah.
It was an oh darn moment.
There we go.
Oh shucks.
Oh shucks moment.
But then we're let's wait to see how this plays out, because I think so many startups go through the thing where some big player comes in and they try to reheat your nachos and it either works or it doesn't. Yeah. And I don't know, have you guys gotten an Apple invite?
No.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, it seems like an obvious. I mean, the other thing is Apple is not good at fun. Like they did the Genmoji thing and they were laughed at for it. It was like kind of a cool product, but again, it doesn't even get real usage. Yeah. And I just think Apple was always known for magical software because it was just like so polished and good, and I think they're becoming less known for that.
Yeah, I have another take here. I'd like to know if this resonates with you. You're obviously on the inside of this, but I feel like the invite product has like, there are technical features that someone can clone and check the box, but the brand is so important. And I feel like when I get a Partiful, it says something about what I'm going to expect walking in there. When I get a paperless post, that's a different vibe. That's a different thing. When I get a physical piece of mail that invites me to something, that's also a different brand, a different vibe. It sets me up. It's the welcome moment to the actual event. It's part of the event experience. And so I feel like there's a world where you could clone all the features, but it's not going to bring the same energy, which is actually what your customers are buying in some way.
Part of the product.
I think it's part of the product, but how do you think about brand and how you stand out from the competition?
I think it's brand, and there's something about you have to want to break the rules because a party is not like a corporate meeting, right? A party is a party. And so we, from the very beginning, have always been like, the party page should feel as much fun as the party itself. Like, you're already asking guests to do a lot by RSVPing. Like, you might as well make it fun for them and give them a reward where they get to see the guest list after they RSVP. Like, you got to make it something where people can actually feel bought into the experience, and you don't do that by building something that just looks like an online form or gets buried in someone's email. But I also think there's an interesting like cross-platform aspect of this too. When you think about Apple, like if I want to invite people to my party, I want to invite my friends who have an iPhone. I want to invite my friends who have Android. Like, I don't care what phone my friends have, they're still my friends. Yeah. And so I think it's really important, and it's hard for certain companies to execute on this.
Does the Apple app only work if you have an iPhone?
It does work for Android.
Okay.
It's
I was gonna say that's just mean. Okay. Yeah. Not even being able to invite Android people to parties. That's just mean.
I mean, well, they're already green friends. They're already look like this.
Yeah. That's funny.
What so we oftentimes, if we're talking to an enterprise software founder, we don't typically ask the question like, what's the 10-year vision? Like, where does this go? Because usually it's like more seats, more contracts, more products, margin expansion, adjacent products. But how do you like, and I'm sure you've just been learning about what Partiful is as you built it, but like, has the vision, like, what was kind of the founding vision? What is it today? How has it changed? And kind of where are you going? Because I've seen like your posts or like different press hits throughout the years, and there was some really funny post about like not making any money that stuck with me. But and obviously just like joking about it or whatever. But like, yeah, where did you start from and where are you going?
Yeah, it's funny how many people took that post like very seriously. It's like. You can't joke with the internet anymore.
What was the exact line? I forget.
It was just like, Partiful won't make money. VCs gave us funding to help you party. Enjoy it, babes. Something like that.
That's hilarious.
There are all these like very serious news articles of like, Partiful said that VCs gave us money to party. Like, is it true?
That's kind of if you guys aren't making money, it's kind of a systemic risk to to big party,
Yeah. No, we will definitely make money. Just not right now. The long-term vision is, if you look at where most social apps have gone, they've kind of turned into entertainment platforms, right? Like when I open Instagram, I'm being fed a bunch of reels. I'm seeing less and less of my friends' content. TikTok is obviously huge, and it's also an entertainment platform. And so when you really think about it, the content that we're consuming is more and more just like, it can be Netflix, it can be YouTube, it can be Reels, it can be Shorts, it can be TikTok, but it's all just you're watching entertainment from people who you don't actually know. And so what's gotten lost in that is like, where do you go if you want to actually connect with your friends? Where do you go if you want to meet more of the people who could be your friends? Because less and less you're discovering them online. And so what we want to do is create the home for you to hang out with your friends, see them more easily, discover new things to do and new people to do them with. And we think that as big social actually stops becoming social and starts becoming big new media, that big social deserves to exist. And right now it's small social, it's Partiful, but the goal is become big social.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking to Brian Chesky, he has somewhat similar thesis, and it's grown on me so much. The barbell idea, there's going to be the internet slop feed, there's going to be a lot of content and stuff, but then you're also going to want to touch grass, and both can be true, and you can kind of toggle back and forth. What's the most underrated Partiful that you've ever seen?
Okay, so they're somewhat rated. It's not fully underrated.
Okay.
But I'm obsessed with the performative contest. So there's like performative mail contest that's happening right now. I saw in San Francisco there was like a performative reading contest.
Okay.
Which I think is great.
Reading.
It's just like there's something really funny that's happening where online meme culture, people are using Partiful to take that offline.
Sure.
So they're taking like
by the way, I used to go to the same gym as a kid who like initially went viral for the performative reading in New York, where he was reading like some
Infinite Jest or something.
It wasn't that. It was like a
Tyler's
feminist text or something like that, and he's like, reading, and people are like, wait, he's been reading the same page for like 30 minutes, like what's going on? And that I'm sure that was part of what kicked off this kind of thing.
Yeah, or like Group 7 on TikTok. Like there's now like a Group 7 meetup, I think this weekend in New York. So it's like the speed at which every single internet meme now has a real offline Partiful event that people are actually going to, that's actually happening. That's been pretty cool to watch.
Take us through the SF party culture. I'm hearing 996. It's getting crazier. Everyone's working nonstop. Is that a bear signal for your business? No one's going to be partying, right?
Are they just using it for like happy hour? Come talk about SaaS.
Oh, that could be a bull case. Break it down.
996 culture is very concerning to the party community. I'm here to declare a state of emergency in the SF party scene.
We have to end it. The drinks, happy hours are coming back. It's okay to crack open a Happy Dad at 2 p.m. Pass me that Happy Dad. I'm going to crack that open right now. Let's get the party started right now.
Yeah, do tech companies need to bring back boozy brunches during weekdays? Was that ever a thing? Like, what's kind of the solution here? How do we
maybe that's what we should start using our VC dollars for.
The power lunch?
Yeah. Funding everyone's boozy lunches and boozy dinners.
I mean, that was kind of the joke in 2021. It was like there was like people used to joke 30% of all venture dollars go to Meta, and then in 2021 it felt like 30% of VC dollars were going to like founder dinners. Like it was just a founder. You could basically eat for free as a founder by just going to a different founder dinner every night with a fintech.
Okay. But I want to keep going. I know we're way over time, but I want you to synthesize something you've been thinking about. This idea of like rage bait marketing being not effective long term. Synthesize that with some. I feel like Partiful's done a little bit of it, but you haven't like crossed any line, so it's always like worked out. Like even that example you gave of like, oh, we're spending all our VC's money. That's kind of rage bait marketing. But it never bubbled up to the point where people were like, "Oh, you don't have a sense of humor about it."
That creates goodwill.
Yeah, and so I've always loved the Partiful brand.
The VCs are financing this party, like, and for the user, that's cool.
Yeah,
but that's quite different than like the memes that were going around earlier this year. People being like, "I used VC dollars to buy this Lambo."
Oh yeah, and myself. Yeah, how do you think about like rage bait? Where the line is on your brand? Obviously, you came on a show that's mostly a joke, but somewhat serious, dressed up. Like you have fun, but then there is the line. How do you think about that?
There's a little bit that I think you kind of have to acknowledge it. Like if a company's pre-revenue, like, there's clearly VC funding that's backing it. So you can't not talk about that, right? And I'm a beneficiary of VCs funding a lot of free Ubers in my peak partying era. So I have a responsibility to pay it forward to the next generation.
Yeah.
But I think like we're here to make people happy. That's the entire purpose of the company. We're not here to make people angry. And so there's only so much rage baiting that like we at Partiful can do that's authentic, because it's like, no, the rest of the internet makes people angry. And we're like the one thing that's trying to not do that. So I think that's part of why we toe the line. It's just not as authentic to us if like, the Twitter mobs are up in arms.
There's also, John, you were writing about the come for the tool, stay for the network.
Oh,
Chris
sure.
Dixon's piece is like example. A perfect example, but a stronger, I think a stronger example than
come for the tool, stay for the network. John Coogan, Chris Dixon. Chris Dixon. It was me quoting him. Last question, and we have to have you back on and go way deeper, but I'm super interested. It seems like Partiful has complete and total domination over like tech culture in terms of like if there's a party that's happening in SF tech, like you found your beachhead, you've landed, you've dominated. How much time are you spending hunting around to find like these crazy adjacent markets for, okay, there's someone who collects some odd object in the Midwest and like you just dominate in Milwaukee now because like your viral
how
loop
dominant
worked.
is Partiful? Because I don't...
It's grown a lot. So we've never had boots on the ground in a market like DC or Boston or Chicago. And those are all huge
now.
Yeah. We're growing like crazy in London.
Yeah.
We do have boots on the ground there.
Yeah.
But
and it's all just web flywheel stuff, right?
Yeah. Just,
cool.
network effects.
Yeah. Just good old fashioned viral growth.
Hit the gong for network effects.
Let's hit the gong.
Great hit. All right, this was super fun. Thank you for taking 15 minutes out of your Super Bowl to come on. Hopefully, no crises later today because the people are depending on it.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for you to become big social media.
Yes, we're very excited for you. Thank you so much.
We'll
talk to you soon.
Guys. Happy
Great
Halloween.
to see you.
Bye.
Talk soon.
Our next guest has been in the reach and waiting room for far too long. Shishir Mehrotra from Superhuman, formerly Grammarly. We're going to break down the rebrand.
We had him on there when they acquired Superhuman.
Yes. Welcome to the stream.
Welcome
How
to the
are
show.
you doing? Congratulations on the next iteration. We pressed you about this. We asked you, is there going to be a rebrand? And you were like, nothing to it now. I think you did. Yeah. I think you did. But congratulations, it's done. And it happened really fast, actually. Many corporations would take
glad it feels that way.
Take a year. I don't know. It feels fast to me. But anyway, how's it going? What are the key changes? What's the thesis? Why'd you go with Superhuman and not Grammarly as the key hero brand?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and we did talk about it a few months back when we bought Superhuman. There's two big changes we made. We changed the name of the corporate entity to be Superhuman instead of Grammarly. It's a little bit like the Google Alphabet transition. There's still Grammarly, still an important brand in our portfolio of products. We now have 4 products under the Superhuman brand. It's Grammarly, it's Coda, it's Mail, which you used to know as Superhuman before. And the other big announcement is we added a 4th new product we call Go, Superhuman Go, which brings a new AI assistant product, takes the best parts of Grammarly and makes it a platform.
Okay, wait, explain that more to me because
one before we jump into that, I will say Superhuman is a perfect name for a suite of AI-enabled apps at a time when a lot of humans, especially even I would say more so outside of the tech bubble, are like worried about being obsolete in an age of AI. And so this kind of ethos of like, let's give people superpowers, very strong. It makes a lot of sense.
Exactly. You nailed it. That's why we picked the name. I had 2 tests. One was it needed to be broad enough for the suite, first thing you said. And the second one was actually the word human is more important than the word super. And it's actually part of the Grammarly DNA because Grammarly has always been about empowerment of humans. You still, we help you, assist you in your writing tasks, but you still, at the end of the day, submit the article, you submit the essay, you write the email. We're just helping you be more human. So I love the concept of Superhuman that way.
Okay, so walk me through the actual instantiation of the product. I understand Grammarly is like a widget.
Wait, yeah, let's maybe talk about Superhuman Go, the new product, because that's what I have no context on.
Yes, please.
Right. Yeah, and actually we teased that a little bit last time I was here too. And the core idea is a simple reframe of Grammarly. So Superhuman Go takes the core underlying technology layer of Grammarly and opens it up as a platform. So most people think about Grammarly as a grammar assistant, and that is a big piece of what it does. But underneath it is a layer that allows you to bring AI to proactive embedded experience in every tool you use. Grammarly works in about 1 million different web apps, desktop apps, and mobile applications. And now you can run any agent, not just your writing assistant, on top of that platform, embedded, connected, and personal.
How do you think about the wars at the various layers of the stack? There's a war.
They're fighting all of them.
I mean, there's an AI assistant in basically every web app now. Like if I go into Gmail, it's asking me to use Gemini. And then at the browser layer, there's Atlas versus, what Perplexity's got going on.
6 companies built on
And then there's
Chromium.
also the OS layer. So I was reflecting the other day on Gmail was trying to get me to use Gemini. ChatGPT was asking me to use Atlas. And then Apple was trying to get me to use Apple Intelligence. And it's 3 helpful AI assistants all in just, you want to summarize this email.
Yeah, so you said the key word that you said ask.
Yeah.
So actually, interestingly, my frame for if you took all those AI providers and you put them into buckets, I call it the assist players, the chat players, and the do players.
Okay.
So the chat players, that's what you're referring to. There's a chatbot everywhere. ChatGPT is obviously synonymous with that category, and there's now dozens of them. Those all ask you to go chat with a virtual human assistant.
Sure.
There's a set of folks working on what we call do, which is I want an AI agent that can go do things on my behalf as headless tasks. And I think the most popular one right now, or the one people are talking a lot about, is all the ones in the coding space. The Anthropic team said 39% of their queries are for headless agentic tasks and being used for developers writing code. But at the bottom of that stack is another category we call assist. And that's the category where we bring AI to you. So I'll give you one fun stat. We do about 100 billion LLM calls a week. It would make us a top AI provider based on anybody's volume. But we do that across about 40 million users, which if you do the quick math on that, that's about that's a few thousand AI calls a day per person. So if you're a really, really good Gemini user or you're a really good ChatGPT user, maybe use it a dozen times. We do it. Yeah, every time you press a key, every time you load a new doc, load a new app, we proactively bring AI to you, and we're figuring out all the places we can invisibly insert AI so it can assist you right where you're working.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense.
Will you any plans to get into the browser game, or are you going to let people duke it out there?
Yeah.
That's not our plan. I mean, I think we work. Our strength is that we work everywhere. By the way, I should say I'm so excited that there is a browser game. I remember when I was at Microsoft when Chrome came out, and I worked at Google for a long time, and I watched that happen, and then it just felt like it went away for a long time. So it's pretty exciting actually that there's some competition in browsers. But we work wherever you work. We work in browsers. We work in the desktop. We work on your mobile phones. To be honest, some fragmentation in the browser world is probably good for us. I mean, it makes it even more valuable to have an assistant that follows you everywhere, and that's the core of the technology we built, anyways. But I don't see us in that game, but I'm very curious to watch it.
Fantastic.
Makes a lot of sense.
Well, congratulations on all the progress.
You dressing up for Halloween later?
I am dressed up. I'm the Superhuman CEO.
Yeah, there we go.
You go. Nailed it.
It's fantastic.
That's the most locked-in costume.
That is the incredibly locked-in costume. I love it.
He's Superman himself,
yeah,
I'd say.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And congratulations.
Great to get the update. Love the new name.
We'll talk to you soon.
Cheers.
If you have a new name, you need to get on adquick.com. Out-of-home advertising made easy and measurable. Introduce everyone to your unified brand. Say goodbye to the headaches of out-of-home advertising. Only AdQuick combines technology, out-of-home expertise, and data to enable efficient, seamless ad buying across the globe. You also need to get a luxury watch to celebrate your new rebrand. Get your Superhuman on your wrist with Bezel. Your Bezel Concierge is available now to source you any watch on the planet.
Our next guest is dressed up as the co-founder and CEO of Linear. I can't wait to talk. Come on in.
Karri, how you
great
doing?
to see you.
Great to see you.
Well, great thanks for having me again. And yeah, like my plan was the same as everyone else's. I could have dressed up like you guys,
there
but
we go.
I saw it's already done, so I thought like, well, I'll just do a different thing and not dress up.
Well,
you're locked in. CEO of Linear. You could plan to, like, if you grew out the hair on the sides, I bet by next year you could do a pretty good impression of one of us without even a hat. Just
for sure.
A pure play. Great to see you. I think, did we overlap almost were you at the GitHub Universe on Tuesday?
No, I wasn't there, but yeah, that's why I couldn't join. But yeah, we can talk about that or something else.
Yeah. I mean, we got a good whirlwind tour of what Microsoft's doing. Obviously, Satya was taking a victory lap on the OpenAI deal, and we talked to the Codex team over at OpenAI. We also talked to some GitHub folks, and I think the general shape of software development in 2025 is becoming clear. You have asynchronous agents that you can fire off. You're doing code review. You also have a tab completion model, an IDE that's getting smarter every month. But I'd really love to hear how you see Linear evolving in that context, and what I mean. You can think about Linear as delegating different tasks. How do you delegate when you have super long running agents? We were talking to the Codex team. What do you say? Something ran
60 hours.
60 hours. It's like that's something you need Linear to manage at this point. Take me through how you're seeing folks change their use of Linear and what you're doing with the product.
Yeah. One of the things I've been thinking about is that like a lot of like Linear was founded before all this like AI things started happening more, and as well as like I think like most companies out there today have like even like large companies, they started before this was happening. So I think we're all in this journey of kind of like an evolution of like how do we do these things? So like what are the workflows? What needs to change and like what doesn't change? I've been like thinking about like the whole kind of writing example. So like we used to write on paper, like we write documents on paper, then we moved to typewriters, then we moved to like online, like text processing on our computers, and then we went to like online writing. The writing is still, it's like you have a piece of paper on the screen, you're still doing the writing activity, and then now like, okay, like the AI can also do some of the writing activities, but it's kind of like a lot of the tooling changed around that activity or that concept or that need. But the activity itself didn't change. So like we still have like documents and papers as an idea because it's useful. So I see the like kind of like the change on the software industry similar, that like the AI doesn't mean that we will just throw everything out of the window. Like there's no longer like any of these IDEs or workflows or something, but it's more like we have to kind of like go piece by piece. Like, does this still make sense? Okay, it does make sense. Let's do that. And then like, does this have to change? Okay, it does have to change. Or it would be better if it changes. So I think like our thinking with that has been that like we want to help companies move to that direction as well. So we do have for example, the agents platform where also GitHub Copilot now integrated with, so you can delegate tasks directly to the GitHub Copilot, and it can work on the background. You can then like come back to see like what the results are and review the code. We also have like other agents.
Yeah, is there any world where the ability to delegate to agents enables more non-technical people? It gives more non-technical people a reason to have a seat on Linear.
Yeah, I think like it's something like we're definitely like seeing today, and I think like it's one of the values we can give to the organization. So like IDEs and technical tools are used by engineers. But like what we even see in our company now is like designers are making fixes with the agents. When they see something like, oh, this is like a little bit off, I can like properly instruct the agents, like find this in the code base, do like a version of this. And you can also like, in our case, you can preview the result through Linear. So you can actually see like, oh, this is how it is, and test it. So I think it's like, it gives like a nice loop for a non-technical person to sometimes just like fix things when they see something, and you don't always have to like assign it to an engineer.
How do you think about like project management software broadly evolving? Like, do you expect are you guys experimenting with any new paradigms? Like, agents are great in that right now we even call them like human-like names oftentimes, right? Everyone has their sometimes it's a girl name, sometimes it's a guy name, and like the way that we're using them today is very much like a teammate. That might suggest that we're not going to see a bunch of new UI paradigms, but are you and the team kind of like, what doesn't get shipped that you guys are kind of playing with, behind the scenes?
Yeah, I think like I like to think about there's like two areas. One is the organizational workflow. So like that goes everything from like what Linear really offers is like coordination and prioritization and communication and visibility to the organization. Like this is the direction we're going, and this is how it's going, and these are the people working on those things. And so I think like with the AI, we are looking for those like problems and like what can we actually fix there or like improve there with the AI. And then I think the other area is the individual engineering workflow, like where does that change? So I think like there is definitely like something we're thinking about that. Do the issues still make sense? Do pull requests still make sense as a concept when you are like more like working with the AI to develop something? I do think like there is still need for reporting things like bugs and like or like capturing issues, having discussions around it. So I don't think like everything is going to change that. I think like a lot of times what really help companies with is like some kind of direction and some kind of like a guidance to their teams. Like here's like a system for you to operate in, and these are the pieces, and this is the goals, and then you let them like do their work. So I at least like to see that it's not like what we think about the SaaS future or like SaaS products. It's more about making them more proactive or self-driving. Like we like to say, like self-driving SaaS is that we're not yet at the stage of like with transportation. Like we still need cars because we don't have teleports. So we need to. Now, like we're at the stage of like, let's make those cars self-driving. And so I think like when it comes to software products, I think we are also there. That I don't think we are at the stage yet, and maybe not for a long time, that we no longer need no software products. But I think like they could be much more proactive and driving things on their own, on the background, without you interacting at all. So the idea would be that bugs just fix themselves. So like when bugs get reported, like the AI will fix it, and you don't even have to see it. I think there still needs to
eventually
be some,
I'm excited for the future when teams can just go into Linear and just watch a bunch of work happening. There's it's an agent finds a bug, another agent solves it, an agent has an idea for a feature, or a user gives an idea, the agent ships it. It's the fully autonomous future is wild. I wrote a post, maybe it was a couple weeks ago at this point, or last week, about the uninspired company of Silicon Valley, and how I mentioned at one point that companies, I'm sure now, like so many companies have copied Linear. I'm sure there's companies now that copy Linear without even knowing like the origin of the kind of design language. They're just like, oh, this is just the way that design looks. So I was wondering, like, your philosophy on, like, you guys get a lot of credit for kind of like creating an entire way, feeling for software and design language and all these different, UI elements. Do you ever have a desire to like reinvent the next paradigm and kind of ship something that would, create an entirely new, version of the software that would completely reskin it? Or do you feel
skeuomorphic? It's all just like wooden blocks and like grass simulation.
Yeah, or do you just continue to own it and be the godfather of modern software as a service?
Random fonts everywhere, random colors everywhere.
I think we definitely think about that, like especially on the website side, that like, well, what is the next thing we can do, since like everyone is kind of like doing this thing we're doing. Yeah. So I think there's definitely that need, but I think in the end, like we try to be functional or pragmatic about the design, that it still should serve the purpose. I believe that old like design quote of the form follows function. So it's like you're not like with productivity tools or other tools, I don't think like the point is to be an artist or something. Like you're not trying to like invent something crazy things just for the sake of it. I think it needs to be like to the purpose or the function of the tool. And then like around that, like there's always like you can like try to figure out what could be better, or like maybe you can go against some convention when you have that reason. So I mean, we're always looking for those opportunities. And I think for us, like part of the mission of the company is to accelerate and inspire builders. So we also do, in a way, like that we're accomplishing the mission of inspiring a lot of different companies on how to design or like focus on the craft or the quality. So that's kind of like personally what I also wanted to do, that could we like shift this industry a little bit more into the like, we can do nice things and it doesn't always have to be just like what metric goes up or down and like, or some other reasons.
Yeah. Made the world a more beautiful place.
I love it. It's a good time. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you so much for taking the time on Friday.
Next time you're passing through LA,
come by the Ultra Dome in
by.
person.
We'd love to hang.
Ideally on a day when we're not dressed up like fools.
Like a couple of characters.
Can be a little bit more serious.
No.
But thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. And thank you for supporting the show this entire year. It's been very helpful.
One of the very first few.
We've had a lot of fun, and everyone in the chat is celebrating Linear. Connor says he just onboarded his business onto Linear today, like 20 minutes ago. Let's hear it for that. Yeah. John Exley says Linear is TBPN royalty.
That's right.
So awesome to see Karri in the Ultra Dome. Thank you for coming by. We will talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Have a
Give
great
our best
rest of
to
your
the
day.
team. We'll talk soon.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Cheers.
There's one scoop I want to talk about. Katie Roof is confirming a scoop from Tech Meme that Axios is dropping. Human Interest, a 401k platform for small and medium businesses that aims to cut down on administrative work, raised $100 million at a $3 billion post-money valuation. This is a leak, but I know the CEO of Human Interest. He's a good buddy. And so I just want to say congrats to Human Interest because it's a very cool company.
And Elon has a new pod up on All-In.
And on Rogan.
And Rogan.
He's on a press
hours.
tour. He's on a press tour. We got to get him. Maybe this is the time to strike. Maybe we get him on TBPN next week. The team seems to like the idea.
We'll
see.
Work on it. Thank you guys for hanging out with us on such a crazy day.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to. While we were putting this on, we were talking about how do we one up this next year.
Yeah.
What could possibly
Let
be
us know in the chat.
As iconic as these two
titans. Maybe we do
Elon
and Joe Rogan. That would be good. I think throwing in a Rogan is a good one.
You as Rogan, even though you're 14 inches taller than Rogan.
Yeah. I could see a Rogan. We could do a Rogan and a Lex Friedman. That could work. Maybe we could do a Huberman.
Lex would be the experts.
Yeah, the experts is good. Like as other podcasters kind of hits. We could do a David Senra. We could both be David Senra. How about that?
David Senra by David Senra.
Yes, we could both be David Senra.
And executive produced by
that'd be a lot of fun. I think your mustache is actually falling off your face.
I feel this weird thing where it feels like I'm sweating underneath everything.
Yeah.
But I've had this like scratch up here by this like fake vein, and I'm not able to itch it, and so I'm looking forward to taking this off.
It's actually so trippy.
A lot of people are asking, am I gonna go home and trick or treat with the kids like this? And
I was thinking about it.
No, I do not want to traumatize my young children.
Yeah.
I will be dressing up as something else. But thank you for tuning in with us today. Have a wonderful
And thank you to the team that helped us
Halloween.
pull this off. This was a very special, funny thing. I never thought we'd be doing this, but that's the nature of this show. And so thank you for everyone that supports us. Leave us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts
and go out
and
and have a wonderful evening and weekend. Be safe. We will see you back here on Monday.
We'll talk to you soon.
Can't wait.
Goodbye.
Cheers.